keep their hopes alive. This is looking very good here for Dallas. They have really turned it around.
That's unreal! Carpet's like a magician just appearing out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness! Taimu bringing the thunder already. But Shadowbird busts out the blade, wants to put an end to it.
It's time to get fired up. Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena. This is day 14 of the Overwatch League regular season, and we have an amazing crowd. Big shout out to all the Blizzard folks in the venue. We've got the full esports team, the web and mobile team, and more. Everybody arriving on a bus bright and early because they know today is going to be amazing. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I am joined at the desk. We got the full crew. We got Crumbs, we've got Zoe at the end, and the man ready for his Tinder date. It's Reinforced in the middle.
I'm actually gonna buy my own Overwatch League team. That's what I'm getting ready for.
I like that.
Yeah.
You look very...
Gonna buy out the Florida Mayhem squad, name my team Stockholm Syndrome. You know,
Stockholm Syndrome from the Swede. I like where we're going with this already. Let's get into the league standings. If you guys missed the action last week, well, it started to get a bit crazy. The upsets started coming in, and now you'll see Seoul Dynasty, the NYXL, and London Spitfire are all at the top at 5-1. But right behind them after their performance yesterday are the Houston Outlaws and the Valiant. Fusion still in the running at 4-3.
And we have the London versus Seoul matchup that is going to be absolutely wild because we know that the Seoul versus New York was crazy when they went to Game 5. Same thing's going to happen here today.
Absolutely. Let's get into today's schedule. We're starting off with a banger. It's going to be the Philadelphia Fusion going out against the Dallas Fuel. A little bit later, the Shanghai Dragons looking for their first win against the NYXL. And we close it out with the match I know everyone drove in for. London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, the battle between two of our top three teams, close it out the evening at 6 p.m. Are you guys ready to get this party started? Clap those thunder sticks and put your hands together for the Dallas Fuel. Excuse me, it's the Philly Fusion coming out swinging first. No smiles from Carpe yet. Shadowbird's coming out smiling though, Johnny, and they are going to need a big performance from the DPS duo today. They're currently holding down 6th place after a strong start to the season, but yesterday they tried to slow things down and they slipped up against the Valiant.
Yeah, so they have looked really inconsistent throughout the season. I mean, they narrowly beat Shanghai Dragons last week. They got reverse swept by the Los Angeles Gladiators, and they narrowly beat the San Francisco Shock as well. So overall, you don't know who is going to turn up for the Philadelphia Fusion squad today, but they have to turn up because they're facing the mighty Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, and I asked their coach Jan if they prioritized Valiant against Dallas in their preparation this week. And he said that they can't overlook either team. Valiant, obviously very, very strong. And Dallas, they play a very particular style that they can't afford not to be prepared for. And they have back-to-back game days. However, the fact that some of the maps actually overlap, namely Dorado as well as Anubis, actually helps them in their preparation for today.
The style of this team is just brawn, but not a whole lot of brain. It's highlighted by their ability to be able to take down any of the top teams, but also you do get to see them start Hotba instead of Poco all this time. My Philly Diva skin was for Poco.
Crumbs is a super Poco fan, so am I. Hotba, though, trying to fill in that diva role. Today, though, we have to introduce the opponents for the Fusion. And on the other side of the stage, playing diva is going to be Mickey and the Dallas Fuel. The Fuel are one of the most beloved teams in the Overwatch League, but so far in the inaugural season, they've struggled to find their footing. This squad is currently 1-5 coming into today's match, but they did get their first big win over the Shock last Friday before losing the heartbreaking Game 5 to Boston.
Yes, they won their first game in week number 3 against the San Francisco Shock. That finally puts them on the board. One of the key factors in that match was Effect. He hard carried them on McCree, Widowmaker, as well as Tracer. He's currently on the 2nd place in the league, right behind Fleta, when it comes to players with 100 and plus killing blows on Widowmaker. And only 4 players in this league are actually currently even in this whole, grid.
Yeah, but Effect keeps popping off, but they look sort of one-dimensional. They keep playing the Orisa Roto composition with the Junker, of course, looking for picks. But it's not really working out for them thus far. And so now Taimu is back in the lineup, and you have to ask, at some point, something's got to give. You got to change things up. So we don't know what we're going to see from Dallas Fuel today.
But what we are seeing is the entire original NVS lineup here. You've got Harry back in the mix, Taimu on your screen there. He's looking fired up, ready to gel with the team, which was what we figured was a bit of an issue. But now they're loving it. They're having fun. This actually gets me really amped up for what the Fuel is going to bring today.
We see Taimu back in the starting lineup. Harry Hook is no longer sick. The rest of the coaching staff seems to be under the weather. But let's talk about these two players in particular. particular and what Taimu and Harry Hook bring to the team. What impact do these guys have on the squad?
Well, they can change up their composition much further because Taimu, you know, he can play the hit scan, he can play the Soldier, the McCree, the Widowmaker, allows Effect to stay on the Tracer, of course. So a bit more versatility, even when it comes to Harry Hook. He can play the Lucio, the Zenyatta, even the Soldier if he likes so. So a bit more versatility available for Dallas Fuel this week.
But that kind of versatility, I think, also is helped by Harry Hook coming in, who also can play the DPS. You've got the Bastion. Even though we're not seeing Junkertown today, he does offer up the possibility of a third hit scan player that I think is part of the roots that Envious was running back a while ago. So it's just comfort here. It's not really the composition of Orisa Hog. It's just let's make sure that we're all having a good time. You got to have fun to actually win at these games. It's video games after all.
Now, throughout all week 3, Johnny, we saw Mickey running the Roadhog. He was splitting some of the time with D.Va, but a lot of Hog was being seen. Now Taimu's back in the lineup. Who do you give the Roadhog to?
Well, I think you actually can give the Roadhog to Mickey still and allow Taimu to play one of the DPS, the McCree, etc. But it looks like it's going to be more D.Va in the mix. And then you have to ask, is Coco going to stick to the Orisa, or is he going to play the Winston? The meta thus far has favored Winston D.Va, I'd say. So maybe Dallas will adapt and stop playing this Orisa comp, even though it hasn't really worked out for them.
We're going to see what they run today. That's the big question for everybody at the desk. But I have one last question for each of you, and that is, what is your official prediction? Let's start down at the end. Zoe, are you going Fusion or Fuel today?
I know. I think this is going to be really hard because I generally feel like this match can go either way. When I talked to the Fusion coaching staff, they were very confident, saying that they weren't really impressed with Dallas's performance. They did win, however, they won against a lower seeded team at the moment. So overall, they didn't really feel intimidated by what Dallas is bringing to the table. However, Harry Hook, Taimu being back in the lineup, that's the reason why I'm going to give Dallas Fuel the edge.
You're going Dallas Fuel. Crumbs, where are you going next?
I mean, I don't think you can be very confident if you get taken in 5 games against the Shanghai Dragons, but I still think that the Philadelphia Fusion have so much firepower in their lineup that between Carpe and Shadowburn, they're going to be able to deal with any Orisa Hawk composition or anything that the Dallas Fuel is just trying to rebuild. So I'm going with the Philly Fusion for this one.
I like how you looked at the Shanghai match and didn't mention anything about their major upset over New York. Johnny, we've got so far Dallas Fuel. We've got Fusion down here. Where do you side? You're the tiebreaker.
You know, I think there's some upset potential in this matchup, okay? Because Philadelphia Fusion, they keep diving, the Tracer Genji composition. And I mean, Dallas Fuel's strength lies in shutting those heroes down with the Roadhog, the Junkrat, we've seen it. Taimu can play the Junkrat. He doesn't have to play the hitscan heroes. So I think there's some upset potential here, and I actually think that Dallas Fuel will win this series.
It's going to be an amazing match and an amazing day, number 14 of the regular season. Are you guys ready to get this going, LA? It's time to kick this one off as we send it to Germany. It's Semler and Hex with the call.
Who are here in Los Angeles. Just to be clear, we're not in Germany. Definitely not in Germany right now. But thank you, Puckett and Hex. This is going to be a fantastic match to start the day off, don't you think?
There's a lot on the line for both of these teams. I think more so Philly when you look at the first stage. They're 4-3 right now. A lot of the other teams playing today are 5-1, so you have to get to that critical 5th win if you want to keep pace and try to see if you can get to the split 1 playoffs, if it were. Dallas, I like what they're doing. They're kicking it old school, man. This is the old roster. This is the old roster formerly known as Envious. These were the 6 that you're probably most familiar with. So they've been trying out a lot of things, and Taimu back in the lineup could change a lot. He's one of those guys who's played a lot of different heroes before they were meta, when they're out of meta. He's a confusing player to play against.
He's always got you guessing. Hell, the desk don't even know what to expect out of this guy right now.
Right.
And that's one of the strengths that Dallas can rely on going into this matchup. The depth of this roster, the heroes that they can play. I mean, Taimu at will can almost pick up anything. And then you've always got Effect that back him up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that deadly duo obviously matches up versus Carpe and Shadowburn. I mean, it has been the Shadowburn show for quite some time here.
Well, you talk about deadly duo, but it is the Archon of Carpe and Shadowburn that the power is overwhelming when these two are both on point and they can combine with their dive-in play in the back line. But if you can shut one down, then the other doesn't do so well either. So it is really, how do you make sure that their lives get all that more difficult?
And we're getting a bit of an overview of the map now, seeing through that first point. Once you capture that first point, you'll be pushing the payload through this arch. Usually a lot of combat here happening at that arch, that choke point. The defense wanted to take a little bit of a fight there, control that high ground. And now we're finally going to get some answers here as to what we can expect, what heroes we're going to see in this matchup. It will be Dallas Fuel starting on the defense with Philadelphia Fusion on the offense to kick things off.
Yeah, home team going to be able to play the defense. Now, Mickey was on that Roadhog. He took a little jump off the cliff there early on just to maybe confuse people. Say he's been playing a lot of Roadhog lately, and his hog has been a revelation. He's played it very well. He does the explosive fishing there with Coco, a little see if he can catch someone, pull him in with the halt and hook. And then Taimu, of course, he's known as his hit scan play, can play that. Effect is the hard carry on this team of a team of all very good players, and he can play almost anything so far on the Doomfist. And why not? Dallas is one of the few teams that has experimented this when they were envious, and Doomfist and McCree can work well together.
Exactly, you get that one-shot combo potential with Effect. You can really chuck people out of position with the uppercuts as well.
The reason that you run McCree and Doomfist, or the McFist as we call it together, is that Doomfist is really, really vulnerable to a Pharah. So the McCree is going to be really helping out by putting some pressure on Shadowburn over the top so that Effect doesn't have to worry about eating rockets.
Well, action begins now because we have begun the match. Philadelphia Fusion on the offense, as you guys can see, and Hoppa not waiting any time, just goes charging straight in, but I like it. We're gonna get eyes on Effect. It's not every day we get to see a Doomfist in play, and so I'm very curious to see how he positions himself here to get the most impact out of that fist.
One of the big questions for Philadelphia coming into this is, are they going to be able to keep their tanks alive? Not a great sign that Fraggy was the first to die there. They spent a lot of resurrections on him yesterday. This time he died too early and out of position. They didn't want to resurrect him, so he's working with Hotba, someone who hasn't worked with as much as he's worked with Poco. They're really trying to get their synergy together.
And something that's worth pointing out here, in case you're wondering, you know, those resurrects, key word. We are playing on the old patch here, and we'll be closing out stage 1 on the old patch. So just keep that in mind. Mercy, Valk has not been changed, and there we go. Effect pins Fraggy into the corner. Not going to be possible to get that Resurrect off, and it looks like Philadelphia Fusion going to be giving grounds yet again. Effect just going to barely miss, but he's fine with that. Although, as I say that, Shadowburn comes out of nowhere and entombs him.
Doomfist has no answer to Afar in the sky, and now a Taimu and Effect both out of the fight. Effect gets brought up by Chips. That is his one res. Chips can't pop Valk. Again, old patch. He's going to have another res available if he wants it, but I think this damage is too much. Shadowburn will put the finishing blows on it. Justice reigns from above. Philadelphia very likely taking first point.
Yeah, Mickey trying to do the best that he can here to stall things out on that point, but he's not long for this world. And I mean, yes, a lot of focus on Effect because he's playing the Doomfist, but Taimu was going to be the linchpin there to keep that Pharah in check. And Taimu, not quite feeling it. You got to keep an eye on him to see what kind of level he's going to be hitting today.
You want to talk about how Feast or Famine Doomfist is? He's got 191 total damage.
Jeez.
That's a kill somewhere in there, but 191 damage so far. As Effect is going to stay on this Doomfist. A lot of this is going to be on Taimu. Can he put enough pressure on Shadowburn that he doesn't feel comfortable sitting back here? You really would love to give Shadowburn off of this Pharah.
Well, Chipsan's already got the Valk, but taking some damage here from these rockets allows for Harry Hook to try and get that Transcendence a bit faster, so we'll see if that has an impact here as Shadowburn continues to reign supreme in the skies. And Chipsan will have popped the Valk to get Taimu back in this fight, but we already have Neptuno using his as well, so it is balancing out between both teams.
Both Valks are out. Watch out for Neptuno. He's the best battle mercy in all of the Overwatch League right now. Shadowburn goes down, brought back to life. We're still even on both Valkyries will finally expire. Next, the deaths will be permanent.
Effect is trying to make himself a tough target to get on. You can see Hotba having trouble tracking a Mickey with the self-destruct just to create a little bit of space here, but Hotba out in the open. It does look like they will be able to hide from it though. No kills for him, but we still see a bit of a trade back and forth. And Philadelphia Fusion, they are getting stalled out.
No direct kills from it, but they ended up taking out Chips on the other end of that because he had to hide away. Fraggy was able to find him and take him down. However, they don't feel confident enough with that one kill to keep pushing. It's been a very solid door hold so far from Dallas, and it's interesting to see that Chips is, or that Coco, excuse me, is on this Winston.
Still, he's kind of trying to make up his mind. When does he drop down there? Doesn't want to use the jump pack quite yet, and he is going to use it, in fact, just to clear out, get back with his team. He's allowing Mickey to have that presence on the point, trying to stall out that cart, stop him from making progress. As Effect goes leaping in, Effect looking for an opening here. He's got to be careful. He is so mobile.
Very hard to pin down a Doomfist, especially when he's got the orb on him. It actually great synergy there. He needs his own healing, and then it allows him to be more aggressive. The more aggressive Doomfist is, the more shields he gets. He gets shielding based on the amount of damage he does. That's why he's able to combo. If you've ever played a fighting game, then Doomfist is probably the hero for you.
Well, this is interesting. The Transcendence there to allow Taimu to get the Deadeye off, and Taimu finds the kill on Shadowburn, but of course Neptuno's going to be there with the res, so that balances out somewhat. Carpe just being a constant thorn in Taimu's side until Taimu says, I've had enough. And Carpe is finally out of the fight here.
Both Valkyries out yet again as teams are trading out. The Dallas defense holds strong. This is their signature style lately, how they've been able to win out maps through kind of just a stalemate style. Their defense has been the best part of their game. It's when offense rolls around that they've been struggling a little bit here, but Effect has been staying on this Doomfist, and he's causing enough problems for the tanks on the ground that they have to play a different style. Not a lot of teams are accustomed to playing against a Doomfist, so it's going to be a matter of can Philadelphia change on the fly.
And we have that change coming through. Shadowburn, he's had enough. No more Pharah in play here. He's going to swap over to that Genji, so we will have that Carpe Shadowburn combo between the two of them on the flankers. Shadowburn right now finding it a little bit difficult here to get into the fight. He's taking a lot of damage at start.
Well, Fraggy will jump in, but not long for this Wild. However, that opened up space for Shadowburn to come up and shut down Diamond. Both supports dead. Dallas's defense is donezo. Philadelphia will be pushing this payload.
Yeah, Mickey's still hanging out here, but not for long. He will get cleaned up instantly by Shadowburn, and finally they will start to make some progress here, Philadelphia, with the payload. Minute 30 left on the clock for them to get to that second point to extend things further. And Effect just getting caught out in the middle of nowhere.
That last push was really good, though. Fraggy playing the part of sacrificial lamb or sacrificial scientist, if you will, goes in. He knows he's going to die, but it opens up the space for his DPS flankers. Oko going to come back in and try to sell this out. He's going to Primal Rage, so they're going to buy at least some time. Everyone avoiding getting knocked off the bridge here.
Effect having trouble right now with the ultimate use, not quite connecting, although there it is, the pulse bomb not quite going to hit anything either here for Carpe, but he's staying alive and he's just pumping damage in, and that's the beauty of Tracer. He'll have another pulse bomb soon enough. Shadowburn only going to get the one kill with this Dragon Blade though, but right now things seem to be favoring Philadelphia Fusion as far as the kills are concerned.
Going to be interesting to see if Dallas wants to double down here and use Valkyrie into the fight. They do just that as Chips comes out, will bring Effect back to life. They really want to hold on to the second point, and they should. Only 30 seconds left. If they can hold this, very likely they will stop the cart right here.
Both tanks working as a duo together. Mickey staying on the point, and you've got Chips healing from on high as well. This is definitely proving to be a difficult defense to crack here for Philadelphia Fusion. They're getting worn out, and they've got a farther distance to run, although Mickey will find the kill on Neptuno. That is huge, and that is certainly going to bring it to a halt here for Philadelphia, although, as I say that, you still have Fraggy who's hanging around on that point.
Both these tanks are so low, though, and without a giant source of healing, they're going to be in trouble, but they take out both of these supports for Dallas yet again. Philadelphia trying to get this out. Shadowburn at a sliver of health comes in, but he will die to the man with the glasses in hand. Dallas holding on.
Unbelievable that Coco gets the Primal Rage at the nick of time, knocking him back as well. Neptuno just barely dashes in time to tap the cart and keep the overtime burning. But Dallas Fuel, they are here. Chipsayan is back in the fight there to keep his teammates alive as well. And it's just going to be a stagger kind of play here for Philadelphia Fusion. The longer that wick burns on the overtime, the quicker it's going to go. They need to stay alive, and the Primal Rage right now working out for Fraggy.
A nice Primal there for Fraggy to keep it alive, but now it is just Shadowburn and Carpe on the card. Can they combine for the kills they need? Shadowburn some gymnastics off the edge. Not enough! Dallas holds on to second point right outside the gate.
That is huge for Dallas. Able to get that signature defense in play. You pointed that out as well, Hex, and they have been struggling a little bit on the offense, but they're also a team I think that lives or dies by like the mood, the confidence that they have going into the match on the day, in the moment. And while you saw them goofing around at the start, that's just signature Dallas Fuel, right? Taimu, Mickey, you can never keep those guys down. But if they get a strong start as well, that's where things are really going to start to shift against Philadelphia.
Yeah, because this team is emotional. I mean, right now they're feeling very good, and that's awesome, but Effect can tilt off the face of the planet. He's as good as he is. He takes the game very seriously. You have to.
Oh, yeah.
But you have those counterbalances like Mickey and Taimu together. Taimu also can be a little volatile. If is he feeling it today? Is he not feeling it today? What I love about Taimu, and it's what I call the Taimu effect.
Okay.
That he plays these different heroes, and that allows Effect to get to the back line, because the other team has to deal with them. He was playing Widow before Widow was good, before we came to the Overwatch League and everyone's at 0 ping on the LAN client. But he would play it because the other team has to go deal with it, and when they go deal with it, Effect's like, thank you, I'm going to feast on your backline now.
Exactly. I get all the space. And I mean, you got to bring up Effect as well. You're right. He had a very slow start on the first point. Now he's up there, hanging in there with Taimu as far as damage dealt, as far as eliminations and final blows. He's pulled ahead. And so that Doomfist, in the end, really worked out for him on that second point defense. He was able to find impact there. And so now we're going to be swapping sides, rather, as Philadelphia Fusion will pass over onto the defense. Dallas Fuel on the offense. And I'm curious to see if Taimu stays locked in on that Widow right now to start.
There's no character with two more different sides of the same coin than Doomfist. Sometimes you go in, you miss your punch, you look silly, you get eliminated. 0. Sometimes you go in, you get your punch, your uppercut, then you're flying down, you get another kill. He's so snowball, you can win fights alone as Doomfist and get 3 kills, and sometimes you look silly. Effect found it later there. Taimu on his signature Widowmaker, and they know this now. Shadowburn's life is going to be difficult. He has to play further back on the Pharah now.
You can see instantly. Taimu, unfortunately, you know that that's exactly what he wants to punish because we've been seeing that a lot from Pharah players. Yeah, the track, and Taimu not going to connect with the shot. There was a golden opportunity to really wreck the defense early on here, but Philadelphia Fusion, they should be able to stabilize now that they've changed up their positioning to deal with this Widow.
It's kind of odd to see a Widow track like that. Most Widow players play flick shots just like that, so Taimu getting warmed up. A flick shot being very fast movement, you rely on your muscle memory rather than trying to track like, say, a Tracer or a Zarya aim would track.
Well, he's hitting shot after shot, but he needs those critical blows right now. He needs the headshots here to make the difference. Not going to get the scope in play there for the kill on Fraggy, but that's solid. Neptuno will be able to get the res off, and he's spotting him. Taimu's now going to get these guys boxed into the room. If Neptuno shows himself, he's going to be in a bit of a tight spot.
Back in the corner, Chips brings up Effect to try to get back in there. Effect takes down Boombox, who's been his favorite target so far, but Shadowburn has enough of time, who knocks him off the edge. This one's on a razor's edge. Effect tries to zone out, but not so much just yet. Philadelphia is still holding on strong, and I think they might have enough to repel the Dallas offense. They do.
Oh, man, Effect, if you get out of here and what? Yeah, never mind. Carpe going to hunt him down in the end. And Taimu doesn't look like he's feeling the Widow play right now. He's decided to swap over to the McCree. He's in danger of getting picked off, but he finds the kill on Carpe in the meantime. Somehow he stays alive. Dangerously low, though. And I like that he doesn't go to pick up a health pack. He could, but instead he just waits for Chips to give him the heals.
That's a great kill because not only when it happened, but where it happened. Carpe is out of this fight. There's no chance of resurrection for him to bring back. They have to pull all the way back, probably wait for Carpe to get there. I imagine they're going to send Fraggy in here on a Primal Rage. Harry Hook going down to his counterpart is brutal as well. Taimu continues to punish Carpe.
There we go. That flashbang, that's what it's all about here for McCree. That's how you shut down that Tracer. And Taimu's such a quick Deadeye. He's only made the switch, but he already has an ult. If he finds the space to get this off, life's going to be difficult here for Philadelphia.
Well, they're already putting a lot of pressure on the point, and it's just very low tanks here right now. Shadowburn has come back into it, takes down Effect. A couple of swift kills keeps Philadelphia into this brawl. Shadowburn over the top on Taimu, and again, at the 25th hour, Philadelphia's defense shows up. Only 90 seconds left on the clock here, Semler.
Shadowburn, the hero in the end. Definitely thinking that that was going to spin out of control, that Dallas would get that cap. They were so close. But Shadowburn making the difference. His accuracy with those rockets is bonkers. It's unbelievable how good he is at hitting those long-range projectile shots. And so, in fact, he's got the orb, he's got that healing. Now we have to see if he can find an opening here. Get that fist in play. He's nearly got his ult again.
I like this rotation. Come sit inside the bubble and try to find an angle for the punches. Does some drywall work there, just punches the wall. Both teams have traded out. Chips is going to pop his Valkyrie any second. No, Chips goes down 2% before his Valk comes up.
Oh, in fact, does get the kill on Boombox. That is the Zenyatta out of the fight. Neptuno, though, he's popped Valk, and that's going to be enough sustain here for Philadelphia. And we're seeing it again here, Hex. Dallas, they look so good on the defense, but when it's time to swap over onto the offense, they seem to struggle. 45 seconds left to get the first point.
Well, let me read you a chapter out of the Silver Linings playbook here. Chips died before he got Valkyrie, but now he has Valk, and Neptuno had to use his. So that is a huge advantage, and maybe not exactly what Dallas planned, but you got to work with what you're given.
Well, your back is to the wall at this point. It's like you've got both support ults on Dallas Fuel. They only have Boombox with his Transcendence for Philadelphia Fusion, but you've got no room for error. 20 seconds left. You need to get on the point. And Shadowburn picking off Chip's hand before Chip can pop Valk. That's it. How do you win this fight now if you're Dallas?
There is a real short answer, and it's only 2 letters. You do not. No, you don't win. Right there, they're still into it right now. Shadowburn got a beautiful angle over the top. Stop that fight before it started. Now desperation time. Can they stall out enough for Chips to fly back in? They do. The Valkyrie is over the top. Shadowburn's got him in his sight.
Oh.
One!
No way. Oh, the kills. Shadowburn. Unbelievable how good he is at hitting these rockets. He makes it happen. Now they're just filing in one after another for Dallas. The overtime wick is burning down, and Philadelphia Fusion will hold on the first point. First map for Philly. And Dallas left wondering what went wrong.
We can be impressed by Shadowburn's accuracy and his barrages and his damage output all day, and we very well should be. What I'm impressed about is his survivability. You should not be living against a Widow or a McCree of Taimu's caliber but somehow Shadowburn finds the angles. He's one of the sneakiest Pharahs in all of Overwatch.
Yeah, you could tell that barrage at the end made all of the difference. I mean, we're gonna have to see if they can keep it up here, Philly, going into map 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Shadowburn, DPS, Philadelphia Fusion.
It was the DPS Shadowburn that had everyone's attention.
I really like Genji. I feel like it's reliable hero, really mobile hero.
That's one, that's two, that's three! Shadowburn going wild with this Genji.
We had some disadvantage because we just like getting used to each other right now. But I think many teams underestimate us, which probably makes us stronger.
Shadowburn just can't seem to miss right now. The Philadelphia Fusion bring us second massive upset of the day.
Korean gamers are really good players, and I'm really excited to see them, to play against them, maybe learn something from them.
Shadowburn is going to become the unstoppable juggernaut again.
I finally reached Overwatch League, it's finally started. Now you want to win Overwatch League, and you want to become best player.
Philadelphia Fusion stand tall, they've got it.
So cool and composed, this guy, and yet you don't really realize the fury of the beast that lies within, because this man, when he's on the server, he rules supreme.
The quietest guy in the room is very often the strongest and most powerful one right there. Shadowburn, no exception. He's been crushing it on DPS heroes since he started playing Overwatch. I mean, his Genji is the stuff of lore. He also used to play a very similar hero in another game that was very similar to Pharah, so it's nice to see him bust out that Pharah again. Guy has some of the best frag videos ever created.
He had some unbelievable accuracy as well on that first map. Clearly dialed in, and it seemed like that was one of the major thorns in Dallas' side on that Eichenwald map. They weren't quite able to deal with him.
He's the stealth bomber. You just never saw him coming. He's over top, and you had no idea how he got there. Probably ended up winning that fight, or at least closing it out by getting that barrage onto Chips, who really needed to get that Valkyrie off, was unable to do so. But his angles that he takes, the way he plays, and then the moment that he feels that they're out of position, where he flips that switch for aggression. He hits the concussion on a tower and he's in. And then he's gone as soon as he came in. It's beautiful play from him. The rest of his team played very well on the ground as well. We'll see what Dallas has here on Temple of Anubis. This is a map that if you watch day one of Overwatch League, they took Seoul to the brink. And everyone's like, okay, Dallas and Seoul, this is what we were expecting. Dallas has been not the team like that since.
You're kind of wondering what happened to them at that point, right? You know, it really started off strong where they were going toe-to-toe with Seoul. You're thinking, right, this is the Dallas. And then it feels like Dallas, they weren't quite able to get everything to fit together. And so they've turned to the OG roster here for themselves, you know, back to the combo that they know and that they were so successful on in the past. And yet now versus Philadelphia, I mean, you heard Shadowburn say it himself. It was like, we think that people are underestimating us. We're still figuring out how to play together as a unit. You think that could work against Philly, but so far throughout the league, it seems to have been an advantage.
Yeah, I would say that most people are underestimating them, the way they fought everybody very close. The reason why I think people still underestimate them is the games that they've won haven't been blowouts. They're beating a lot of teams 3-2, and they're like, wow, they really gutsed it out and scrappy. The bullies of Broad Street, Philadelphia would be proud. However, in the ones that they are unsuccessful on, a la yesterday, you wonder what happened to this team. You get 4-0'd, they've been 4-0'd a couple times, so they're still in the mix. They're still an enigma to me, because I think at any given day they can beat anyone, and then you had just such a strange game yesterday. But I think, yeah, people probably still are underestimating them. I think Philadelphia is still looking for their final form here. This is a team that has still not practiced all that much together. This is probably their 4th week of really being a team.
Do you know what works well against allowing somebody to find that final form? A trap mine combo. That's a pretty sick one. You know, you're not going to be in form for very long if you get caught there, and that's exactly what Effect is looking for. Time already, and there it is. Shadowburn walks right into the trap. And Effect will collect this first kill of the game. Taimu is just hitting shot after shot as well. Look how quickly he's managed to generate this ult charge, 60%. He's very close now to being able to see through walls.
I'm surprised that that worked, because you expect that in like a ladder game, and it usually works. Carpe dies again to Effect. Effect has been the one to pick up the Junkrat here. Taimu's not actually a huge fan of playing Junkrat. He would much rather play these hit scan heroes, so maybe just keeping everyone happy is going to be the key to success for Dallas.
And Effect showing that he is capable of flexing. Again, well, Dallas putting on display the fact that they are a very deep roster with very talented players who can switch it up at a moment's notice. And Philadelphia now are the ones who are having to figure out how to deal with this. They've gone for dives, straight up. Shadowburn on the Genji, Carpe on the Tracer. Well, so far it hasn't really worked out for Shadow, and Shadow once again getting tagged.
Well, the dive is not going to ever really be able to deal with Taimu back here unless they send a Genji around the left side here. So they're focusing on the front line, but hard to do when you lose your tank like that.
There's the shot, Taimu, he's getting flashbacks from Eichenwald, can't quite get the follow-up! Neptuno survives just barely with a shred of HP, and Taimu frustrated once again. The Valkyrie reigns supreme, and it's looking like this will be a fight here for Philly.
The offensive advantage, oddly enough, is that you take more damage on the offense, and that allows your healers to get to their ultimate abilities faster. Chips only at 86% because the one dive came in, did the burst damage, able to take Chips out. Neptuno sitting back there with his team who's taking chip damage here and there, able to get to that Valkyrie much quicker.
Very quick, no hesitation as well. You like that preemptive Valk. It just gets so much damage in with the chain healing, the chain damage boost, and obviously the reses. We are playing on the old patch, just to remind you. This is not like what is going on in matchmaking right now. And so Philadelphia taking a little bit of a poke, seeing if they can get anything out of Dallas. Dallas, though, showing their resolve.
Philadelphia would love to do a bit of an econ rush here. They would love to force out a Transcend and a Valkyrie and not use anything of their own. But if the window opens like that, they might just commit to this, get a couple very early kills. And now Mickey down. No tanks on the point and a Blade about ready. This is a recipe for disaster. Here comes a Blade.
This is so big. Taimu not going to get the flashbang. That was going to be the big chance to shut down Shadowburn. Right now, that threat of the Blade threw everything in disarray for Dallas.
So they wait for both of the support ults on the other side to dissipate. They end up popping their own Transcend to try to get in here, but that's a perfect push no matter how it works out because they got both the support ults of the other side. Now Neptuno's going to have an enormous advantage. They're just going to sit here and poke, get healed up. Valkyrie's coming out any second now from Neptuno. Here it is.
And he doesn't waste any time at all. They want to make this happen now. Shadowburn with the mobility, looking to hunt down Mickey, who barely makes it around the corner. That's not where he wants to be. No chance of a res either coming in from Chips, and so things are looking pretty grim here for Dallas. It could spin out of control. Effect not able to get anything out of the Riptire either, and they are making progress. 4-5 alive, and Dallas not even able to get out here to tap the point. A blindingly fast offense here for Philadelphia Fusion. A fantastic first half with nearly 5 minutes left in the time bank.
There's a perception of this Philadelphia Fusion team that they simply overwhelm people with their power, that they are just stronger and they just push, and they're not necessarily the smartest or most well-coordinated team. That push towards the end is the exact opposite of that. They knew what they wanted to get out of the other team as far as making them use ultimates. They did just that, but then they're still in there doing enough poke, taking enough damage so that Neptuno can get that charge quickly enough so that the small advantage of the kills that they got and the Transcend and Valkyrie being used are able to be capitalized on immediately. Such good positioning. They pull back a little ebb and flow there. And the brains of that push is what got them that point with nearly 5 minutes in the bank.
Yeah, just not dying is a big help as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Boombox died once. Neptuno didn't die, well, a single time, whereas Chips and Harry Hook both died twice. So that's less healing for your team on Dallas, and that definitely puts your team behind. Whereas you've got Shadowburn, who's dropping 7 final blows already. You know, he's definitely warmed up. Eichenwald, you know, that was him jogging in the morning, you know, a cup of coffee. Now he's arrived at the office, Hex. He's here to do work. And so we're going to see can Dallas, you know, put this man out to pasture or not. They're going to swap onto the offense now. 30 seconds left, so they have some time to discuss to get things rolling here for Dallas. Whereas Philadelphia, they'll be on the defense. Do you see anything throwing you off here to start?
No, but some interesting stuff. Generally, you see Fraggy on, you know, Reinhardt and even at Winston. He's going to play an Orisa for this first point, and his other tank compatriot, Hotba, will be playing a Roadhog. So not something that you always see. A lot of people still like to run a D.Va here because of the necessary high ground. These are not high ground tanks, is why it's so surprising. If they have to rotate and fall back, there's no stairs for them to climb up in. If this first point hold doesn't work on these small stairs, they're going to fight right on the point.
With that barrier, short cooldown for it as well for Fraggy. It is a possibility that could set it up for Carpe as well to give him that mobile defense, allow him to just sit there, take shots. Taimu has gone for the Widow as well, and so they're going to be playing that dance now, trying to figure out how to make it work. But surprised to see that Taimu isn't swapping off.
Well, I think Effect is going to make the call, because Effect does a triple blink up top, trying to get to Boombox, who's way back there. And that is where the pressure is going to come from. Effect is so far in the backlines right now, but Carpe does find one kill early on. Taimu answers quickly.
There is the trade, but Harry Hook is out, so that's some healing that is down here for Dallas. This push might struggle because of it. If they take too much damage here, it could get out of hand. Hotba remaining on the high ground, although not for long. As I say it, Mickey charges through, knocks him off, and Harry Hook is back in the fight with Effect as well. Just like that, this could be the turning point here for Dallas, and a very quick first point cap for them.
There's really no reset when it comes to this. There's no... Once you get knocked off the first ledge, you're not going to be able to get back up there. And you saw as soon as the tanks get knocked off there, even Boombox, who was sitting in the high ground of the back, got pressured early by Effect. And once one cog in that system falls down, the rest of it collapses around it.
Well, perhaps we're going to get a glimmer of that Dallas fuel that we saw in the first week, where they really took it to Seoul and were able to go the distance in multiple rounds of overtime versus one of the very best teams in the league. Anubis may be one of those playgrounds, although there's the pulse. They're going to be able to get out of harm's way, though. Fraggy having to give ground here. He's at risk of getting hunted down by Effect, and Effect follows through. Nice stagger there from him.
They are still coming in, it seems. Hoppa is already in there, and I think Neptuno, yes, has popped his Valkyrie already, even losing Fraggy in a very odd position. So very interesting that they're going to try to continue with this push. It seemed like it was all going wrong, and they still committed to it.
I'm glad that we're following Effect right now, because this man keeps finding himself in the perfect position to capitalize on Philadelphia Fusion overextending perhaps. Getting that punish in there. Shadowburn will be able to res in just a few moments, but we do have the infrared in play here for Taimu. His team can see through walls, and that's certainly going to help when it comes to hunting down Carpe, who is looking for a flank in the back line.
Yeah, not necessarily going for that finish. He knows the DPS is needed up front here instead, as long as he can deter Carpe in the back line. That's all he's trying to do, just check him. He's not going to go for this kill. He's got to come back and help his team. He's such a huge source of damage. Meanwhile, Taimu has killed two, including the all-important Mercy on the other side of things.
In effect, just barely in there, and he gets the kill in the end. But the Primal Rage will get popped by Fraggy, so definitely not the target you want to stay on for now, at least. Better to get onto Harry Hook, perhaps, or on Boombox, see if you can find anything there. As Taimu, this is the perfect spot for Widow as well, all the way up in the high ground. Such a tough target to get to, and if you step 1 inch out of line, Taimu's there to take your head off.
And there's no way they can even commit the resources to go back there and get him. If you do so, you're leaving your tanks off the point. The only person to get back there is D.Va. It is simply Duck Hut back here in Philadelphia playing the unfortunate role of the Ducks.
Oh, however, the things are changing though. Taimu missing a few key shots there might have been the turning point for his team, because eventually they do get cleaned up. No, Fraggy, he's not there anymore. I think he actually gets the headshot on Fraggy there, but then Fraggy is fine with that perhaps because he can back off, give that healing over to Neptuno, start charging up that ult again.
Here's the thing, Neptuno really needs that healing as well. He'd switched to Moira partway through that fight to get back to the point quicker and perhaps help out with a little damage there. So now he's just made the switch back to Mercy. Means that they're about 40% behind on their Valkyrie charge, which is enough window for Dallas to complete this offense.
Revenge for the first half there, the pick. Shadowburn dancing on the edge, and Taimu gets him in the open in the end, finds the kill, and Mickey's there to take down Fraggy as well. This might be the moment here for Dallas where they can kind of spin this out of control. A complete fluffed self-destruct there from Hot, but not going to find anything on that point.
We got knocked out of the way, got pushed out of the way and booped into the corner. That means that self-destruct got absolutely nothing. Taimu going to have a hard time finding damage here, going to try to take headshots so that he can get his infrared sight up. Harry Hook goes down, but Chips brings him right back to life because he's popped Valkyrie. Neptuno's still 30% away.
Yeah, this is the big moment here perhaps for Dallas. They have that ult advantage. They do have the throughput. Mickey just goes charging in, hoping to get into the back line. He's calling for support from his teammates, and Effect is there to lend a helping hand. Pick up the kill on Boombox. Coco reigns supreme as well, and Shadowburn trying to make the difference here with the Dragon Blade. He will find a kill on Harry Hook, and they are just all over the place. Shadowburn reigns supreme, making the difference here for Philly.
Dragon Blade's going to be good enough. They've only have 2 alive left here. Effect trying to just hard carry. It's 1v2. Effect does take down 1. And he is punished quick by Carpe. Philadelphia Fusion now holding, and they've equalized their support ultimates. Again, we're on the older patch, so Mercy does reign supreme. Valkyrie the strongest ult in the game. Shadowburn's been able to shut it down, but the next fight is going to have Philadelphia with a Valkyrie, while Dallas still working their way towards them.
That's so horrible if you're Harry Hook as well. He's just thinking, please stop shooting the Genji that is reflecting everything into me right now. But doesn't matter, doesn't happen, and well, Shadowburn, he wins that fight handily for his team. A little bit of help from Dallas. Looking for that target again, Taimu. Gonna be able to make it out alive though, Shadowburn. He is getting hunted here. Mickey trying to pour on the pressure, and Coco with the follow-up as well.
Had a little bit of trouble there. He had all his cooldowns down, but able to just ninja jump away into the corner, so he'll be alive for this next fight. See if Mickey can find himself a self-destruct. They've waited and bought their time here because they wanted to fight with Valkyrie up. Carpe says, nope. You wasted your time trying to build that up because I'm just going to kill Chips right away. Chips, Harry, Taimu down. This fight, for all intents and purposes, is over.
We're doing a great job right now, Philly, of just letting him. I mean, sure, you start making progress, that's fine. But if we obliterate your backline in the meantime, you're not going to have any throughput. You're not going to be able to hang around for long. And with 2 minutes nearly left on this clock here for Dallas, they are definitely going to start feeling the heat. And look at the situation for the ults now for Philly. Both support ults ready to go for this next fight.
What's interesting is about the 2-minute mark is it is that 2-minute warning. If you're going to switch heroes, do it now, because 2 minutes is essentially when you can build up an ultimate for almost any hero. Effect has switched to Reaper to that extent, trying to build up a Death Blossom for the final push.
I mean, there is a way to cancel out Fraggy, who can get caught out of position, and sure enough, Fraggy will get found by Mickey. Shadowburn, though, in the back line, he's nearly got the Dragon Blade again, and there it is. Instantly picks it up, manages to back out as well, doesn't care about the Discord Orb. If he stays hidden, it will fade. And Neptuno in the meantime, Neptuno finding the kill on Harry Hook.
I don't know why you're surprised. Neptuno pulls out that blaster. He is the guy who likes to pull it out the most, is able to get the most kills in the Overwatch League on Mercy. Chips brings Effect back up. It seems like they're really going all in. Effect is nearing his Death Blossom. It could be a closeout ultimate.
Now, this could be making the difference because both support ults have been used now. That Trance is out, and so that sets it up perfectly for the Death Blossom. And for sure enough, he will find the kill on Neptuno and the follow-up, the D-back on Hotpa, the turning point. Perhaps here for Dallas with the backline dead. Boombox doing the best he can to stay alive, but it's not for long, and the self-destruct will force him off the point. Dallas Fuel will tie it up 2-2 in the end. And Effect, the patience with that Death Blossom, just outweighing the Transcendence. Knew exactly when to use it to get the most impact, but that really doesn't leave Dallas much time to work with here in the bank. Only a minute left.
Not at all. but it was that 2-minute warning when they decided what is not working, what do we have to switch? Because you like to have switches, but you also like to have ultimates. And 2 minutes
Ults are good, I hear.
Yes, I heard that sometimes pressing your ultimate button will win you the game. Effect switching over to the Reaper, it may not look like a lot, but he was able to take down the opponent's Mercy, which is everything still, and then he softens up the rest of the targets. Also huge zoning potential there too. And even without the Death Blossom, this is a map that we see Reaper on more than any other map, especially offense and closeout maps. The biggest thing about Anubis is that the defending tanks can get back on the point and stall out so quickly. And Reaper kills tanks not only efficiently, but extremely quickly. So that stall out isn't there. He's a great closeout hero for this point. A nice, intelligent switch towards the end from the Dallas Fuel.
So curious to see how Philly will respond, seeing as how we will have them swapping over to the defense here to start things off. We saw how Carpe was effective with the Widowmaker, at least for the time. So he will be on Widow once again, and they do look like they want to try and change it up perhaps and have that high ground presence. And this is a strategy that we see quite a bit right now. Defense Anubis, you get that barrier up there. It allows for Carpe to have a safe place to just set up shop and go to work.
You build the ice wall of the north so that Orisa can climb it, get up there, set up the shield, and once you're up there, it's very difficult for the other team to dislodge you.
Woo! Styling!
Some fancy tech here. We'll see what Effect wants to do with it. I mean, this is no longer just a joke Doomfist. He's waiting for some very specific moment to come around the corner, maybe uppercut, and then land on top there. That'd be a unique variation of the .com. There it is!
Unbelievable. Manages to make it work. Gets the kill on Shadowburn to start as well. Hotba, though, he will find the kill on Chip Sayin. That might ruin it here for Dallas Fuel, who don't have a whole lot of time to work with. They are making progress on the point, but it will be contested, sure enough. Hotba staying alive, but Taimu winning the duel versus Carpe might make the difference.
Effect now finds himself very out of position. I wonder if the other team saw him. If so, they were going to hunt him. They are doing just that. Effect will go down very deep in the back line. That push was such a cool idea. It's a matter of millimeters that if he's able to stay up there instead of falling down, he gets another punch in, and that could be a whole different story for the offense.
And that barrier is a nightmare right now. Not able to find the kill on Neptuno, who can almost just heal at will. Fraggy will even reposition the barrier, give his team more room to work with. All they know is exactly that they need to find one key kill. Chip Sayin getting caught by Shadowburn could be the deciding factor here, as Dallas Fuel are just going to launch themselves bodily onto that point. Effect, well, he's certainly doing work, but Neptuno will be there to undo it. Boombox back into the fight thanks to Valkyrie and Carpe as well. This surely has to be it here for Philadelphia Fusion. Mickey will be the last man alive. Harry Hook trying to lend a hand, but it's not going to be enough. And overtime will take out a full hold here for Philadelphia Fusion on the first point. And when you switch sides now, Hex, you got nearly 5 minutes if you're Philadelphia Fusion. It's looking very good for him.
Dallas excels at defense, but that's a really hard ask to do 5 minutes. What I really like about this Dallas team so far is they're trying new stuff. And I love new stuff in Overwatch, and maybe in the next meta it'll even be more appropriate when we hit to stage 2, but it seems like maybe they're resigning themselves to, we need to find stuff that works, find our own signature style. The Effect Doomfist has been really cool to watch. That opening salvo to jump up and then land up there. Effects and Doomfist can be good dive heroes. He knows how the mechanics work. If he doesn't get nudged off just that little bit, is able to find a punch through up there and do all the damage he needs, it goes completely different. I think they're just trying to refine new strategies, and right now I'm really liking it.
It's always fun to see different styles of play, and yes, Dallas Fuel, this has been a strength of theirs in the past. Unpredictability, making it difficult to read and prepare for them, and that is key when you're talking about competition. Any little thing that you can keep from your opponent could be the difference maker when it comes to match day. So Effect, I mean, well, you know, just might as well commit to it. Effect staying on the Doomfist here, it looks like.
Well, you're not going to get better by something by not doing it, so why not keep running it, see what the other team wants to try to adjust towards it. And I like it. I think maybe they might have resigned themselves a little bit, but I think this is probably something they practiced a lot. This is also a strategy that they've run previously in contender seasons. I mean, the Doomfist is not necessarily brand new for Dallas.
We'll see how effective he will be here on that first point. Hold, you can see by the little yellow triangle there by the letter A that they really don't have much to do here, Philadelphia Fusion. Not a whole lot of pressure on them. They need one good fight. You can see Shadowburn trying to scope it out the defense. Now he's got the full picture here. He's spotted out his targets, and so he'll be on that flank. Taimu not going to be able to make it out of, or at least gets reflected.
Now Shadowburn's going to have to go back. He ate a poison mine there, so he was just ticking down, and he's also able to be seen by Taimu, which was the issue that prevented him from really deep diving. Shadowburn finds the angle, though, and somehow just finds more shurikens.
He is so effective at charging ult as well. Shadowburn just has that Dragon Blade. He can be really patient here. Just hope to find a target. He's got his deadly duo. His twin in destruction. Carpe at his side. Taimu catching shurikens to the face. That's never pleasant. But Chip Sayan will be there to turn it around. He will get the heals off. And in the meantime, Effect has removed Neptuno from the map. And so that will be the difference maker here. Philadelphia will have to back off.
It may seem like meaningless poke sometimes to be throwing those shurikens where there's going to be healing there, but in that moment, they lost all their healing on the ground because it forces Chips to come up and go heal Taimu instead of staying on the ground, so it does open a small window. It's those very small opportunities that Philadelphia needs to take advantage of, but I think Philadelphia is playing the game right now where they want to bank up ultimates. That's really all they're doing. They had all the time in the world, still over 3 minutes on the clock to just get about 40% of first point.
Yeah, Neptuno just picked up his Valkyrie. Everybody else practically within 10% apart from Fraggy. He's a little bit farther away from getting that ult in play. Carpe, if he gets the stick, that would have been big. Not gonna happen though, but that does force them to change up their positioning, and Hotba will find the kill on Effect. That forces Chip Sayan's hand. An early Valve. Neptuno has used his, however, as well, and so that will balance out. Now it's gonna rely on Harry Hook and Boombox here. Who's gonna use the trans first? And Boombox decides to pull the trigger, trying to keep his teammates alive.
As they continue to push forward, it's okay for the offense to be trading in this situation. Valkyries are going to be popped from both sides, but both will dissipate. Trades favor the offense because the walk-back distance is a little bit better, so they're going to try to get a little bit of progress. No permanent progress so far. Carpe, though, has found his targets in the backline. Open up, no more healing for Dallas.
This could be the difference. Hotba will find the kill on Mickey. No remake. They will get stalled out, and this is going to be the turning point here. Philadelphia Fusion will lead the series 2-0 going into halftime. Dallas once again finding themselves with their backs to a wall. One more map loss and they lose the series.
Coming up a little bit short on offense again, down 2-0. Will they continue to experiment? Will they go back to tried and true? This is the tried and true roster of the Dallas Fuel. Just a matter of finding the right composition to beat the competition.
Chip saying, that must have been a feel-good moment. Not every day you get to see the Mercy, you know, put it down to Genji. Shadowburn, that's right, I was behind you, Ninja. Go back to ninja school. Nah, didn't work. Chips, he's on the ball, and he is making a difference for Dallas, but this is still possible here for the Dallas Fuel to run it back. We've seen this kind of magic here before at the league. It's gonna be up to Carpe, Shadowburn, and the rest of the Philadelphia Fusion to put a halt to that and collect their win.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
It's halftime, and so far in our first half, it is all the Philadelphia Fusion over top of the Dallas Fuel. They currently lead 2-0 after our first two maps. Welcome back, everybody. It's Puckett, Crumbs, and Reinforce, and we're here to break down the action from that first half. Let's start with game number one. And coming into this one, we were excited to see the tried and true team of Dallas Fuel coming back together. The old Envy lineup back in full force. Fusion, they were coming off a tough loss to the Valiant. But it was Fusion that came out swinging, and it all started here with Shadowburn. As we take a look at some of the general highlights, this man was just lighting it up on the Pharah.
His Pharah was just ridiculous this time around because he ended up hitting 41% weapon accuracy with 26% direct hit on this, which is just numbers that you dream of actually.
I mean, that's win you games, right? Those numbers are so big, so they win you games just straight alone, Shadowburn.
Exactly, that's what happened. And they try to answer it with the Widowmaker, and it still wasn't enough because he's got the Mercy pocketing him the whole way through, and he just was a one-man army.
Now, as we were watching the Philadelphia Fusion, Crumbs, we saw Shadowburn kind of popping off on the Pharah, but who are you keeping your eye on?
So I was actually looking at Fraggy as well because we often talk about Philly as a team that has the tanks create a lot of space for these DPS to shine. So what is Fraggy exactly doing? Well, he's taking a lot more damage than most other tanks. He's taking about 2,000 more damage, at least in Coco, his counterpart here in the Winston. And I think what that does is that it just puts so much attention onto the Monkey in the middle of the fight that you just forget about where the Pharah is at. And Shadowburn's playstyle is about being unpredictable, which applies perfectly to the Genji and also to the Pharah.
We were really impressed by Dallas Field. They stopped the Fusion. They hold them to just 2 points, but when it was Dallas on the attack, they got stuffed. I want to start, though, here with our insights by Intel, and this is going to be Johnny on the Telestrator breaking it down. Johnny, what are we about to look at here? Because at the start of this game, we noticed there was a hero that is not normally in the composition for Eichenwald. Effect was on the Doomfist.
Yes, he was on the Doomfist, as you can see in the top right corner. And it's a bit uncommon, right? But I think it was a pretty good pick after all. Because the strategy that Dallas Fuel are going to pull off here is that they're going to try to protect Taimu beyond this point here. Now, Taimu isn't in the back. Currently, he's flanking like he usually does. But they want to protect these corners, and they want to prevent Philadelphia from diving onto the point, onto Taimu. And Effect is going to be the man that is going to punish Fraggy. And that's why we saw Fraggy die so many times. So we're going to see Effect. He's actually going to kill Fraggy as we play this thing out, because Taimu gets him low, they got a stun onto him, Effect is going to dive deep, get the pick onto Fraggy, and you got a man advantage. Now, Mickey lost his mech, but here we are again. So Dallas are set up pretty passively around the point again, within these lines, similarly pretty much. But we're going to see Effect actually. He's going to make a call, or someone is going to make a call to push out here, and that is the mistake. So we're going to see them push out, and as a Doomfist, it's really hard to die. So Effect is going to overextend, he's going to die, and this allows Philadelphia to get past these lines that I talked about earlier. So as we play this thing out, we see that this is a strategy that I think can actually work pretty well. But Effect, as he overextends here into the back line, pretty much by himself, Mickey's Diva mech is gone. There's no defense matrix here. And as such, we're going to see that Carpe here, now on the point, is have all this room because there's no threat to him anymore. Now, Taimu is off in the top right corner, but that doesn't really matter. So overall, I think it's a good strategy, but Effect, it doesn't look like he's so crisp on the hero yet, and he's going to keep overextending like this. And overall, throughout this series, I think that it was a pick that you can throw out there, and it can work pretty well against the Philadelphia Fusion. But they maybe need some more practice time on this hero to not do those mistakes.
Thank you, Reinforce. That's your insights powered by Intel. And I have to ask, throughout the rest of this series, we've seen Doomfist game 1, game 2. Do you want to see him again in the second half, Johnny?
I'm not a huge fan thus far. I actually think he made some plays, but when you play Doomfist, all frags look like plays, right? Because you're just punching people into walls, so everything you do look like plays. But I don't think that the gain is better than the cons necessarily.
He had the most deaths of his team. He had the most kills, but also the most deaths, which is the playstyle of Doomfist. And when you have your ace player dying a lot of the time, especially if he's the one that seems to be making a lot of these shot calls, is going in, it seems like it's counterproductive to have that stable player be on the most unstable of heroes.
He's been your most consistent guy all regular season. Put him back on the Tracer and let him run loose. Let's take it now, though, to a moment towards the end of the attack here. And Johnny, you were highlighting Taimu. His shots on the Widow, normally he doesn't flick as often as he was here. Seemed a little bit shaky, and then you just saw the frustration. This is a guy that runs on emotion. What were you seeing from Taimu in particular in game number 1?
I mean, he's a bit of a streaky player, so he needs to get going. And last week he tweeted out he was a bit nervous to play on stage, wasn't really feeling himself. So I think we saw in the Eichenwald game that he wasn't really feeling on point on the Widowmaker. Now going into map 2 on Temple of Anubis, I think he warmed up and he looked a lot better. But on stage, he looked a bit not like himself.
Speaking of Anubis, let's jump into the highlights from game number 2 as we look back at the blistering attack coming in from the Fusion. They finished point B with 453 still in the bank, Crumbs, and they really just seemed to catch the Fuel off guard with their opening.
This was just awesome because Semler was highlighting it as soon as it happened, which worked wonderfully. You're thinking, okay, they get a couple of picks right away. The sights from Widowmaker came out so soon, but it just turned out that the Neptuna ultimate came out a little bit too soon, and that many of these fights were won by Philly being able to use that Mercy ultimate proactively. That's kind of what we're seeing Mercy's evolution become just a very tight-knit group when it comes to the Genji. So you have Mercy just flying around with Genji utilizing his blade, and that makes for a combination that's of a caliber similar to what the Nano Blade is.
I mean, we saw that all of these fights on the point were actually very narrow, and it was about those plays from Neptuno. He got the Valkyrie up in perfect storm, really, for Philadelphia Fusion on all of these defense fights. Shadowburn got the blade out, Carpe got some picks. So it was really close throughout the map, and I think it could have gone either way, but Philadelphia Fusion, again, they come out clutch in all of these fights.
It was much slower for Dallas to get the second attack, but if you were watching those highlights, you constantly saw in the kill feed, Effect with 2, Carpe for 2, and both of them were on the Tracers at the time. Eventually, we saw the Reaper switch. Dallas was able to lock it down. Do you think that we should have seen a Reaper earlier on the attack, Crumbs?
I think the Reaper for the second point is always a great idea here for Anubis, just because the corridors that are available mean that he's always hitting headshots or always hitting the max range damage on his shotguns. And on top of that, you're always going to have bodies throwing left and right. So I think that the Reaper is always a good adaptation here. And I'm surprised teams have not adjusted themselves to utilizing this pick a bit sooner.
All right, well, we saw both teams score both points on their initial attack. Now we're in the time bank rounds, and this is where Dallas is up against the clock. But they pulled out something so unique. We haven't seen this yet, and we were able to catch it on camera live. Shout out to the production team. We're going to show it to you one more time, though, and Crumbs is going to break it down for us. How to use Doomfist to attack on Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, this is a sick tech by Effect. So he's initially going to use his fist to just slide up the wall so effortlessly, sits on top of Anubis himself, and then the dive happens, which looks great from the start, but look at what happens. He ends up falling down, and this means that he can't follow up with the rest of his squad. What looked like a great attack for the time that Dallas had in the bank ends up backfiring just for a slight misstep.
You're sitting there with your cooldowns not ready. You're just shooting into the air. Effect feeling lonely,
No
and
Doom
that
with
was
that
the
fist.
end of the fight. First half, it's in the books now. Let's get the official predictions moving forward. Does Philly lock it up in 3? Do they close this out 4-0? What do you guys see happening in the second half?
I think that Philly has this. Initially, I felt like Philly was going to be the favorites just based on the individual outplays, and it seemed like that's what the story being written is so far. So I still think Philly's got this.
Johnny, you went with Dallas Fuel. How did they get it done in the second half?
I think there's a chance Dallas can come back because Philadelphia Fusion, they haven't looked great on Ilios throughout the season, and they lost Dorado to San Francisco Shock, so obviously not their 2 best maps coming up. I think they could force a Game 5. I'm going to toss it out there. I think Game 5. Reverse sweep.
Shanghai did it.
I want to see a Game 5. Before we go to break, I want to hype up this audience. We now have our sold-out crowd in full force. How you guys feeling? Who wants to see the Dallas Fuel take this to a Game 5? Are there any Philly fans who want to see it closed out? It's a packed house, and we're going to have a party on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We're still in this first match of the day, and it's going to be a great one. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I'm going to drink water. See you in a minute.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Philadelphia keep their hopes alive. This is looking very good here for Dallas. They have really turned it around.
That's unreal! Carpe is like a magician just appearing out of nowhere. Oh my goodness! Taimu bringing the thunder already. But Shadowburn busts out the blade, wants to put an end to it.
You're right, Hex. You're right. Shadowburn, he busted out the blade and he put an end to the fuel, snuffed them. So what can we expect now going into map 3? Who do you have, coming out ahead?
Well, look, Control has not been very kind to Dallas. Even when they went to 5 against Boston, Boston was able to take both controls. Now, Ilios has been more kind than Oasis, and that's the map we're headed to next. But I always think of Control as who the DPS are going to reign. And a lot of the maps, you need tanks to make space. On Control, you can just roll through and just say, hey, Tracer, carry us. I'm a little surprised that Dallas is not running Effect on Tracer because Philadelphia has shown that they struggle with top-level Tracers. Soon absolutely decimated them yesterday. Effect is, I think, on that level with Soon. I mean, it's hard to say who's better. They play a little different styles.
Whoever rolled over on the right side of the bed that
Exactly.
morning pretty much decides who's better between those two.
Yeah, it's like who's in the top 5 Tracers in the world. They're all very good. So I think it's a little bit interesting what they've been trying to run. But I think Dallas just trying to find anything to hang their hats on here of what style are we going to run going forward? Because I think it's almost like they've resigned themselves of, hey, stage 1 playoffs aren't happening. We need to look long-term here.
Yeah, turn it around with your coaching staff. That's what they're there for as well, because the more information you have to work with, the better decisions you can make. And so perhaps that is what Dallas are aiming for here. We're getting into Ilios to start, and it looks like we're going to the murder hole as well here, Hex. So already, it will not be wasting much time as we have 30 seconds left on this clock. Very curious to see what they're going to be running because there's a whole host of different strategies that we can see on this map in particular.
If this map is not at least somewhat referred to as Murder Hole now in competitive ladder, I would be
certainly hope so.
I would be very disappointed. One of the best similarisms so far. Murder Hole it is, so it's going to be interesting because boops and environmental kills, what we call them boops, is a little more fun than saying the guy got knocked off a cliff to his death. Going to be a big factor here because Chips, I think, is going to be running the Lucio. Very odd, as Harry's generally their Lucio player. Nope, Chips switches. He wanted to speed boost his team out of the gate and then switch over, so no Lucio. On the other side of things, there is an environmental catastrophe waiting to happen. That's Shadowburn and Taimu. It's the wrong side of his rocket.
Yeah, we got to see what Shadowburn was capable of on the first map, Eigenwald, where he pretty much just owned the skies. Don't worry, the Spitfire are playing layer, but Shadowburn right now, he's warming it up for him, just letting you know that the man, he certainly knows how to hit rockets.
Not a good sign that Effect lost his 1v1 versus Boombox. I mean, Boombox, one of the deadliest Zenyatas in all of Overwatch League, but Effect, you expect him to win that fight. He got headshot in the back line, and that is going to be first control easily going the way of Philadelphia Fusion.
You can see, you can already tell. I'm glad that we have this view here from Shadowburn because he does kind of give you the bird's eye. You get a bit of a sense of where Dallas are trying to work their way in, and right now it's just like everywhere. Dallas are just split up all over the place, just trying to find one point of weakness here to take the fight to Philadelphia. And already, there we go. Coco is going to commit himself to the site. He's already down to half HP, but more importantly, he's going to be trying to create space here for Effect to go to work.
Effect does come in. 1v1 is won by Effect there, so the score is tied up 1-1. And this is what I was talking about. Philadelphia, not always the greatest at dealing with a top-tier Tracer on the ground, largely because a lot of times Shadowburn is in the sky or he's in the backline. So the ground war becomes that much more difficult. And then Philadelphia Fusion are going to have to find an answer to Effect. It looks like he's trying to put on his carry pants.
Are you saying that Carpe is too skinny to carry the weight of Philadelphia Fusion, the ground fight? I mean, he is a skinny guy, Hex, but I mean, to be fair, but, looks can be deceiving. Carpe might have the broad shoulders necessary. I don't know. We'll see if he develops, over time here.
He's wiry.
He is wiry.
Oh,
that's a good way. Yeah, wiry. That was that wiry kind of strain. Fair enough. Cables of steel. Those are his funny snaps. Pasha would be proud. But going into it now, it is going to be this contested point. And who has control of the point? Dallas Fuel. So they'll keep generating that percentage. They are getting a little low there. Mickey Demect. That's not going to help things, but Coco will be there. They're just trading divas back and forth. And so long as Taimu can keep his space, exactly, out in the open, looking for a shot, he will get one on Fraggy, but he needs to find some softer targets here. And there it is, the kill on Boombox. That's what he was looking for.
Chips is very patient there, waiting for the last second for his Valkyrie. He will bring people back to life, and Taimu is putting them into the earth himself. A couple of nice shots there. good for Chips to be able to live in Papa's Valkyrie because that was...
Living is usually good.
Well, that was an issue for them, period, on the first 2 maps. Chips died way too often, especially with Valkyrie up, and he tries to ride that Razor's Edge. When Dallas had their kind of resurgence, they looked closer, and they were beating San Francisco and playing Boston close. It was because Chips was getting more value out of his Valkyrie than the other Mercy. He's trying to do that again, but it's very close to be getting value and being greedy and getting punished for it.
Oh, I am glad to see Taimu on the McCree. That was a very close call there for Carpe. It takes a bullet to the face as he comes around the corner. That's never pleasant. But Taimu on McCree has really seemed to be, this feels like he's playing to his strengths. The Widow wasn't quite jiving with him, but on McCree, it doesn't seem like he can miss right now. Carpe will gang up with the rest of his team and assassinate Coco. But so long as Taimu is still alive back here, there is a chance. Once again, Boombox out of the fight, although he will get rezzed immediately by Neptuno.
That's the only res, though. Now he puts him right back down again, gets style points for killing the same man twice. Shadowburn comes over the top again. The stealth bomber finds Chips. Harry also down to this fight. Fraggy jumped into the murder hole himself. Taimu very low. Finish off. This one is very close, still on the point.
So long as Shadowburn is still here, exactly, he's going to get to rain rockets in with impunity, and they should be able to flip the point back their way here, Philadelphia. They stop him at 99, and only 30% here for Philadelphia, so they've got quite a long time here to work with. It seems fairly even now as far as ults are concerned, though, between both of these teams.
Yeah, all support ultimates are always the one you want to start at, looking at first, and they're very even. Those, of course, can be knocked down a little bit by some of these DPS players, but, you know, you say they're a long ways away at 30, but that's essentially 2 fights for how long they drag out here on Well.
Oh, Carpe's going to be kicking himself! The chance there, the chance to get an advantage for his team, but he wasn't able to clinch it. And somehow they managed to flip the point. Dallas, now it's going to be Philadelphia Fusion with their backs to the water, trying to stay in this. Carpe will stay alive. 30% on his pulse bomb. We'll see if he can generate a new one here.
Well, that's why they'd be kicking themselves to get off the point like that and give it up for free. It's a very difficult point to retake. On the short run up to it, it's a large point that's hard to get everyone off of it. There's a lot of hidey holes for everyone to stall out on the point. Shadowburn is going to try to stay alive because he needs to hit an enormous rocket. He does on Harry. He's got a barrage in his pocket as well.
Exactly. He's just waiting for the support from his mates. Exactly. Neptuno can now get him healed up again. And that barrage could be the difference maker here. If he's out in the open, if certainly those Dallas Fuel players are out in the open, it could end very swiftly for him indeed. But Shadowburn not rushing it. Characteristic of him, waiting for the perfect moment to pull the trigger. Manages to collect the kill on Harry Hook, and he's still alive. Somehow they don't capitalize Dallas Fuel.
It's amazing what this man lives through. I don't know if he's got the armor buff or not. I think a lot of it has to go to credit to Neptuno, who's always alive with him as well. Pharah and Mercy. I mean, name a more iconic duo. I'll wait.
You're gonna be waiting a while, Hex. But you know who else waits? Shadowburn. He is the man who waits on those ults. It's unbelievable how patient he is, whether it's Dragon Blade, Barrage, doesn't matter. He always seems to get value out of his ults.
He's been criticized for it too, but he does get the most value. He's super efficient with them, and also it puts the fear in the other team. You know, can I go in? And no, they still have Barrage. No, they still have Dragon Blade. And I think it's a great mental tactic.
Yeah, really making it unpredictable, but there's the Valk in play. Boombox once again brought back to life. Effect gonna be shaking his head. Chip Saiyan just gliding gracefully out of the way of those rockets. The Shadowburn looking to get into the back line once again. Just raining rockets in with impunity. Harry Hook caught in the corner, nowhere to go. But Chips will be there with the res.
Very interesting there that Shadowburn didn't try to go for the rezzing Mercy, but he knows the rest of his team is down there with him. Neptuno brings... Neptuno kills Taimu. Neptuno, it's so confusing. He just murders people on this Mercy. This one is down to the last second. A slobber knocker if I've ever seen one. Ults popped on all sides. There's a little bit more white on the ground. There's Chips falls again. This one's going to come down to the next few kills, and it looks like Philadelphia secures those kills. There's the barrage he has in his pocket. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up the rest.
We got it all highlighted there thanks to the third-person view as well. Shadowburn, as soon as he goes for the barrage, what's happening? He's getting damage boosted by Neptuno. Just sheer carnage. And the Philadelphia Fusion, rough start on the first point, but they run it all the way back, 100% to 99. And Dallas are left wondering what went wrong. How did we get burned?
It's such a great point you bring up on the damage boost as well, because a lot of Mercies will prioritize the healing, but Neptuno's so smart and so swift to react to. Does he need healing or does he need damage? So Justice rains from above normally, but that's more like hail when you're damage boosting that. And what it really helps out is those long distance targets. Shadowburn's style seems to be, I will find one primary target here and he's isolated, he's alone, and he's dead. And then where else do I shift my rockets to? Let's try to chip in on the Winston a mile away. Let's try to chip in on the tanks as well, make everyone else's job easier.
Well, countdown is over, and we're getting into the second point now. Another boop map. Very similar, very characteristic here of Ilios. Curious to see if anybody's going to try and play off of that, and it doesn't look like it. Fairly standard fare as far as the support lineups are concerned here for both teams. Fraggy taking a lot of damage, though. A lot of the defense matrix getting used up just to keep him alive.
Gets a little bit. Effect does win his battle versus Carpe early, but Shadowburn takes down 2. Carpe is brought back to life. This is a very swift 6v5 already going on. 6v4. Philadelphia completely dominated that first fight. We'll take control here.
And Pancake. Just stuck against the wall. You got nowhere to go, and you got 600 pounds of gorilla coming straight for you. That's a sad place to be. But if you are a Philly fan, you are happy indeed. Taimu has swapped over to the McCree yet again. Halfway to the Deadeye, but no joy for him so far. He gets chased off by Shadowburn, and now Philadelphia Fusion getting into these high ground positions, looking to try and punish Dallas Fuel when they move out into the open. That's what the name of the game is here, although Effect starts off strong. Pulse bomb to DMAC, and already 3 quick kills coming through here for Dallas Fuel.
Very difficult to get on a Zenyatta, who's got a Mercy right behind him. Zenyatta switches over to DPS mode. Speaking of which, Harry Hook will add a 3rd elimination to that fight. Neptuno off the edge just gives up his ghost, and they will live to fight another day, or reset rather, more appropriately.
They're 1 point off of percentage, right, from what we had happen on the murder hole. So curious to see if Dallas Fuel can actually clinch it this time, or if we will have Philly fighting their way back into this and really going the distance, going toe-to-toe. But Harry Hook getting very close to Transcendence. That's exactly what they need here. What they're lacking, Dallas Fuel, he'll get it for the next fight, though, because Boombox and Neptuno, they have both of their support ults, ready to go.
Well, this Fraggy first brought up. Coco goes down yet again. Shadowburn gets plunked right away, but Taimu has to give up his life for it. Trades are happening all over the place. Taimu gets brought back up. Here's another Transcend coming in. Team's relatively even right now, still fighting over the point.
Harry Hook is just desperate to get away, but Shadowburn not gonna let him. Might have gotten knocked off the side, though. Neptuno falls to Effect, though. That's a big kill. They could make the difference. Boombox will get the trade, however, but Mickey going toe-to-toe with the man who throws orbs, and, well, Boombox, it's not exactly the place you want to be. Once again, the monkey goes jumping in.
Still going after this point, but meanwhile, this is great for the Dallas Fuel. They've been in control of this point the entire time, but however, it does seem like the balance has eventually switched over. They stuck to that fight a long time to Philadelphia. Pays dividends. Those can be dangerous when you keep fighting like that without being in control of the point, because you think at some point you're going to flip it back, but if you don't, you've just given up so much advantage to the team already in control.
Yeah, okay, Neptuno actually finds his way back. I thought for a second there that he would drift down to his demise. Shadowbird with the pick on Harry Hook, though. This is just so back and forth. This Chip Saiyan will be there to get the res off on his Zenyatta, and they will continue to climb to extend their lead. Dallas Fuel, they've just taken back the 70% mark.
Boombox goes down early. That's going to stall out the next push. So Dallas is hoping for one last fight here. They're going to have to live through Carpe and Shadowburn's ultimates. And those DPS ultimates can be absolutely killer. Great positioning in that last hurt from Dallas. They completely zoned out where Philadelphia wanted to fight, and then Taimu takes advantage of the space his tanks give him in the back line.
Effect is loving this kind of positioning as well. If you're going to come through those hallways, that is exactly where I want you to be. That is where I'm going to look to get my pulse bomb into the fight. DMAC possible here. Papa taking a lot of damage to start, and that opens it up. Fraggy will get dropped in the meantime by Mickey. The Shadowbird, he's looking for kills, but he gets caught on the wall. Unfortunately for him, not able to get more out of that Dragon Blade. And, well, not much you can do when you're dead. Taimu there to flashbang him into oblivion.
Flashbang, one of those abilities, does feel bad when you get hit by it, but one of the best abilities is shut down flankers, able to do just that right now. 99%. If Dallas can secure this point, they're going to be in a great position. However, both supports still alive from Philadelphia, whereas Chips, man, it's hard to see that he's dead at 98% yet again, but maybe they can stall it out. In fact, they should just get off it. It might be time to reset for Dallas. It's totally fine. They have 2 fights in their pocket, both support ultimates. On paper, it's a fight they should win next.
Yeah, you're watching Chip Saiyan, wondering if he can pop that valve to get, we saw it on Eichenwald, right? Pop in the valve to get back into the fight faster. Decides to play patient. They know they've got the lead here, Dallas. They have every advantage, so no reason to throw it away by chucking ults in there and getting nothing out of it. So now into the choke point we go as Boombox is just hailing volleys. Volleys with the orbs in, goes for the Transcendence very early on here. Decides to use that early, and that may make him a bit vulnerable here to the back line. Effect could be looking to get on top of him fairly quickly.
I'm pretty sure he used the Transcend so that they could safely resurrect Fraggy, who had died down there earlier. It means that the Mercy's going to be in the healing light of Transcendence. Very hard to take down during that situation unless you have giant burst damage. Got zoned out there, so they will end up bringing back Fraggy, but they did lose their Mercy. However, Chips down again. I think that might have been during Valkyrie as well.
And Harry Hook picked off as well. Coco will get the trade on a Shadowburn, but that's fine because the backline is dead. Neptuno now going for the Doomfist. We're seeing a lot of Doomfist today. Not for long, though, in this case. As Taimu is there to take advantage of it. And this is right on the edge, contesting on the point. Carpe doing the best he can to play those angles and stay alive. Needs to be able to get back in here. He needs to stay alive so he can blink onto the point and just tap it if it starts ticking into overtime. And sure enough, that's what he's going to do.
Boombox gets Chips as well. Neptuno and Chips have both switched, thinking to get back to the point on the support main. Shadowburn trying to close this out. He's got the blade ready. A slice through the mech will do not much. Finds Effect and Harry, though.
Oh, that's so huge. And it might actually happen. Philadelphia. Both times they allowed Dallas to get to the very bitter end, the finish line, and they trip him. They stop him cold, and it's a 3-0 victory in the series for the Philadelphia Fusion. A 2-0 solid hold on Ilios. When the analysts were doubting him, Philly decided to step up.
I like the really aggressive play there on the penultimate fight where they went down the hallway. They ended up transcending into it as well. When they lost fights on that point, it was because Dallas was able to bully them out position-wise. They took the fight to them instead.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Zoe. We're about to head into that fourth map. However, I used the halftime wisely once again to get some information. As we already discussed, the stylistic differences of the D.Va players from Team Philadelphia Fusion. We know that Poco is more aggressive, more flashy. We know that Hotpa peels more for the backline and is a bit more of a passive player. Now, they talked to me about their results from yesterday. They said that they don't think that the D.Va switch actually had any impact on the results we saw from yesterday. So they kept Hotba in for today. And, you know, the game plan generally for this week was to have that Fragi Hotba tank duo. They feel like it's working out great for them. And when I asked about, you know, Hotba maybe being the reason Fragi plays a little bit more passive, if that is why they choose this D.Va player rather than Poco, which allows Fragi to go even more aggressive than what he usually does, they said, actually, that has nothing to do with which D.Va we're having on the stage. They want Fragi to be more passive to begin with, so this is just something he needs to work on. However, they looked like they gelled well. They were looking just as good as what we saw from Poco and Fragi. So let's see if they keep it up on map number 4. And for all the action, I'm going to hand it over to Semler and Hex.
Baller. Thank you, Zoe. Sick. I mean, that is the kind of information that we need, though, because you
Exactly.
know, you start speculating in terms of stylistic play, edge, who's standing out individually.
Right. They want Fragi to be more passive. Good luck with that. At least they took the hammer out of his hand, but he's one of the most aggressive Reinhardt players I've ever seen in my life, translating that over to Winston. But
Exactly.
it's his style, man. You can take him out of, you know.
You can't take the heat out of the pepper, Hex. And he's a spicy one, that Fragi. He's a spicy one. I mean, he still gets rezzed a lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's still that is still something that they're having to deal with on Philadelphia. But at least today, as far as the results are concerned, hey, Fragi, you can keep working on you know, on the spice factor, but you still got the win.
It might be an adjustment period when Resurrection becomes a little less viable in the Overwatch meta, but we're still riding it out through stage 1. This is Philadelphia's set. They won 3 maps out of 4. It's already theirs, of course. We will continue to play out all 4 because map scores matter a great deal. So Philadelphia still has a lot to play for here. Map scores being a huge tiebreaker when it comes down to who makes the playoffs.
Exactly, when it comes down to ties in the end. And so just to remind you all, if you're just tuning in, another bit of information that will be helpful for you. This isn't matchmaking. We are playing on the last patch. So we still have Mercy as a dominant force here with the Valkyrie and the double res. Keep that in mind when you're watching the game. Moving into this, though, it is going to be fun to see if we get to see more of the Doomfist, more of the variety here from Dallas, because it does seem like they want to try and change it up. And Dorado, that is one map where we have seen Doomfist in the past.
Yeah, Doomfist just crushes in corridors. Doomfist, DF, Dallas Fuel, DF. Coincidence? Yeah, probably.
You're on to something, Holmes.
But he is very good here. He's going to probably be located on the bottom there. They might give up a lot of ground here because you don't want to send him really out in the open. You really want them to push the cart halfway through, and then it's kind of pick your path. You go left, you go right. Left is probably going to be Taimu shooting you in the dome. The right is going to be Effect punching you in the face. So not the greatest of options. See what Philadelphia wants to run here. It's going to be no surprise if they want to run a dive. Shadowburn can play everything. If they want to run a Widow, the world is their oyster here.
I don't know if I misread that sign, but that sounded like really, really expensive fresh fish to me. Maybe because this is in the future for fish, you know, the fishing industry is still under pressure. Fish stocks are still dwindling down to nothing, and so it costs $40 to get a fish now.
Have you been reading The Economist again?
But I'm wondering if a little detail there, tongue-in-cheek. Whatever, let's get into the action because we are about to begin. Philadelphia Fusion on the attack, going into the last map of this series. Dallas Fuel desperate to pick up a W today. Just one map would do them justice, would be a feel-good moment for them. And so you already got Carpe going to work. He's been very effective on the Widow so far this series, already hitting the shots. He just needs to find the kills.
Yeah, they are going to play a little bit far forward, try to get a little aggressive defense, but that is Coco all alone back there. Takes a huge headshot, has to back out. Now still being pressured by Shadowburn, who's trying to follow up that damage.
Ooh, and they get the information early, at least as far as effect on that Doomfist. At this point, it's almost like, well, do we just assume that he's going to play Doomfist? He's been doing it pretty much every map. But now they've got confirmation. They can see that effect is there, and Carpe finds the duel. He wins the duel versus Taimu. A lot of DPS lost here for Dallas Fuel.
But Chips has to resurrect Taimu right away to bring him back to full fighting strength. Hoppa takes out his opposing Mac, and that opens up a ton of sightlines for Carpe, who will continue to capitalize on it. Takes down Pilot D.Va. They were pushing pretty much unopposed right now. Where is Effect? He's had very little of his namesake.
Yeah, not able to get that cart stopped in the archway. That's where you see the Doomfist. He hides out in the doorway next to it, tries to pick people off with a swift punch to the face, but it doesn't look like he was able to make it happen this time. Very similar, actually, to what we saw from Effect on Eichenwald at first point defense, where it didn't really seem like he was able to get any kills, anything going on that Doomfist.
The resistance of a poorly made Pinata was the Dallas defense right there. Able to get swung through, really no kills, nothing to speak of. They never stopped the cart from moving, and Dallas needs to find a strategy here that works a little bit better. They're not switching up compositions here. I think they're still really all in on this Effect Doomfist. Maybe just trying to get some practice with it. I mean, the best scrims are good enough, but there's really no good enough practice as far as actual live game.
100%, because here the wins and losses actually matter. Unlike in scrims, please players stop saying that you win scrims. That's the last thing I want to hear. So, there it is. Shadowburn gets the dive on Coco. Managed to pick him off, and we'll see if he gets stuffed later for the reading room. Instead, it is going to be Shadowburn looking to take advantage here. High ground, this could be an opportunity for him. He spotted out his target with the Dragon Blade. He could get a fresh dash, but Chip's going to be able to back off intact, although, as I say it, one of those reses has been wasted on Coco.
I don't think Shadowburn was even knew he was up there. I don't think he was even aiming for him. He accidentally killed the scientist up there, but hey, we'll take it. Now still getting a lot more of this chip damage in. So patient on these blades, and this is where that patience pays off. A lot of lesser Genjis would have used blade there just to finish out the fight. Shadowburn's gonna have his for the next one because his primary abilities and mechanics are so good that blade is just the cherry on top.
It's that feel-good moment, you know? Warm and fuzzy. Everything's working out. He's got the blade to open the presents on Christmas morning, right? You know, it all just works out for Shadowburn.
Which you learned in ninja school, apparently.
In fact, yes. In ninja school, where he had to go. You know, there's pictures in his class, whatever. All right, moving on. He's got the Dragon Blade again. So this is going to be the big moment. As Effect is caught in the corner, not going to need the blade to remove him, though, surely, as Effect is barely hanging on. And he goes for the ult just to stay alive, but it's not going to be enough. Effect wasted in the end by Carpe.
This might be time to back out, I think, for Philadelphia. They're very happy with the ultimates that they got burned out of the other side, and this Transcend was now out of it. And that's one thing that you cannot overestimate. Shadowburn puts enough pressure on the other team, and as do the rest of his teammates, to force out a Transcend. Transcend is the anti-Dragon Blade. It does good burst damage, but not the greatest that it can go through transcending high health targets anyway. So they're waiting for that. Now with the Transcend gone, expect to see Shadowburn bust out that Samurai Sword.
I like the little details there as well. Shadowburn with the Jiggle Peek. You know, trying to bait out the shot from Taimu.
Jiggle Peek, is that a Pokemon?
That is, that would be a really weird Pokemon. What would that Pokemon look like? You know, a thing of Jello? I don't know.
With eyes. That is terrifying.
Peeking at you.
Taimu looks for an angle, ends up shooting himself in the foot there.
Harry Hook, I mean, as soon as his barrier is down, eventually just going to put those orbs into the barrier, so no joy for him. No picks, although as I say, there was an opportunity, doesn't matter. Shadowburn, he's found his single target. He's going to hack him to bits. Harry Hook is out of it, and Chip Sayin as well, caught in the open. Shadowburn, yet again, getting the value for his ultimate. Unbelievable.
Just finds a perfect angle there, and he finds both supports alone helping each other out, but it's not enough peel against the Dragon Blade. Once the one goes down, the other is absolutely over. Great kills there to take down the Zenyatta first, save his dash to find the Mercy second, but with no one else around, Mercy had no escape there. Can't Guardian Angel, absolutely over. Shadowburn, I mean, we can mock him all we want for holding on to blades too long, but that's why he knows what he's doing, folks.
It opens up the second point completely, and it leaves Chip Sayin wondering, desperate, as he's got his little blaster out. How does Neptuno do it? Please, I must challenge. He doesn't. Sorry, man. There's only one Neptune in the league, Chips, even though you are a god tier Mercy. Still, Carpe reigning supreme in the back line. I like it. Details there. Coco trying to turn away to avoid the headshot. It's not really going to matter in the end, though. Carpe gets out to dodge, and Shadowburn doesn't even need the ult to find the kill on Chip Sayin. This time, Taimu as well cleaned up, and this is just spinning out of control now for Dallas. They cannot seem to shut down the ninja.
It's just a lack of communication overall. Eventually, Shadowburn will fall as he fell from the sky there, but look at this. The payload is making swift progress to the last point. Shadowburn should be able to get back into this mix rather shortly. A lot of ultimates coming online, and this is so smart from Philadelphia. They just wanted all of their free progress, and now they're going to bail, and they force out a Primal Rage of all things. Again, they're baiting out ultimates.
You're talking about the ult economy fairly often, and well, that's a big one. You really want to have that primal to just delay on the payload, buy as much time as possible, and instead now, you're just a monkey with no rage. You're empty inside. you feel nothing. And so effect.
Too real, man.
Too real. That was getting a bit dark there. But, you know, that's it, you know. Boombox stays tranquil. In these sorts of situations, the darkness doesn't affect him. He shines forth with the light, keeping his teammates alive, keeping them in the fight. And who is falling left and right but Dallas Fuel, one after the other. They're dropping like dominoes.
Just absolutely no resistance yet again. I don't know if Dallas is on comms, if the comms are cluttered. A huge volley will force out an early resurrection in half of the Valkyrie from Chips. Now that means that the Valkyrie advantage will be with Neptuno. He can bring 2 people back to life. Gonna have to use one on Boombox, so that's not a guy you want out of the fight for long. Neptuno swoops in, will bring him back. Desperation time for the Dallas defense.
Mickey manages to stay alive, though he dodges the self-destruct, and that is going to be valuable so long as he can stay in this fight. There's a bit of a delay effect. Speaking of which, finds Carpe looking the wrong way, and Harryhook is there to remove Shadowburn from the fight as well. Dallas Fuel finally here with a minute left on the clock for Philadelphia Fusion. They're starting to get some kills. They're starting to put a halt to this payload.
2 things. I think we see why Coco used his Primal Rage in last fight, because he had it up again, so clearly he knows his timings, that he's doing enough damage that he's going to be able to get Primal Rage up. Second, a lot of people question this Dallas Fuel roster of who's going to play Genji. Why doesn't Taimu play Genji? Where's Seagull where it comes to Genji? Effect is a very, very capable Genji. It's about when you have to move him onto Genji, who can play your Tracer for you? He can't play both at the same time. In fact, maybe Effect could, but very difficult. Effect going to be looking for that answer here, and I think we're going to see a preview of Effect on Genji.
We get a camera shot of Effect. He is in fact leaning over and using both keyboards at the same time right now and controlling the mics with his mind. Shadowburn though, this is it. Cut that Dragon Blade again, and I feel like we're gonna be waiting a little bit of time here to see it because Coco has ensured that is what's gonna happen. He's out of the fight already. Neptuno, no Valk in play here to bring his teammate back into the fight either, although as I say that, of course, he just gets it off the old-fashioned way. So there's the res used for Neptuno, and Shadowburn, yet again, reigning supreme in the back line. This time it's Harryhook, it's Effect. Taimu just blinks out, doesn't want to have anything to do with this.
Shadowburn making them fight all where they don't want to be, all out here, but it does seem like it's going to be enough for Dallas to stop this at the final push. All blue in the kill feed thus far. Neptuno and Carpe will fall in short order. Atpa is going to be on Pilot Diva. Not exactly the stall mechanic you want. Fraggy Primal Rages, but even that 1000 HP not going to be enough. Dallas will prevent the payload here on Dorado, which has been one of their better maps throughout the Overwatch League.
And on one of their better halves, the defense. And so, you know, much like on Eichenwald, they put up a solid defense there. They were able to go to work, but they stumbled when it came to the offense, to applying the pressure, opening up the points, and in this case, while just pushing the payload to its destination, which is practically on the 3rd point. So there is a long way to go here for Dallas, but if they can get fired up, this is a team that lives or dies by their emotions.
They completely shut down Boston on Dorado last time they faced them to force a map number 5. It was 3-0, I believe, in favor of Dallas in that matchup. Dorado, one of their better maps overall, and even though they were messing around a little bit on Doomfist, who, by the way, did nothing to that entire first 2 points.
Unfortunately for Effect.
But that's how Doomfist is. I don't think that's really Effect's fault right now. And I want to see more of Effect on the Genji, because I think maybe that could be an answer. Of course, you still have to find a Tracer player, but I don't know. It seems like there's a million good Tracer players out there. You could maybe do a pickup or something like that. There's a lot of talent available that Dallas could utilize here, but they still do need to find that Genji player, I think. I think Genji is a must-have in the Overwatch League.
Well, we'll all know more pretty soon, I'm sure, as far as Dallas Fuel are concerned. But at least as far as the offense is concerned now, with 30 seconds left, you know, is Taimu just going to leave the Hanzo locked in? We've seen it in the past. You get up onto those rooftops, you get those high angles, could be something to work with, and that is kind of playing to Taimu. You know, he's a bit of the tongue-in-cheek jokester.
Hanzo is one of the most difficult characters to predict if he's actually coming out of spawn, because a lot of people just use Hanzo for the one arrow, just to see where people are. He's kind of like the utility. I get to play? No, back to spawn, Hanzo. We only wanted your arrow. It's like that one kid you know with a really good football. You'd always invite him to play because like he had the good ball.
Wow, Hex, you are one of those ruthless children as well. You know, like da. I just want the basketball. You go sit on the sideline.
Oh no, I was that kid.
It's so front line. You were the one. That's how you got them to talk to you. You always had your basketball with you. Now I get it.
Exactly.
Mickey though, he gets it as well, just clearing out the tanks from the high ground immediately, forcing Hotba to give ground and back off. And well, Fraggy caught out in the open again, giving so much ult charge to Neptuno. Neptuno will be happy about that. He just needs to stay alive. And while Carpe, he is doing the damage right now. Chipsayan is already gone. Dallas Fuel, they get overwhelmed.
Carpe, you know, generally a bottom-feeding fish, is just going to clean up on the scraps left behind there. Taimu was on the Hanzo. He did get to play at least for a little bit, but then they're going to swap him out for a little more consistent player here. And it's going to be Taimu switching over to the McCree instead. Trying to find those angles. Still not the greatest of heroes to get up there or in the back lines, but now everyone's fighting in the corner. Maybe Taimu gets something done. Nope! Carpe comes down again. And they are just getting brutalized here. This is not expected from the defense. You want to stall out and make them earn every push, but you know what? It's kind of karmic justice. Envious did this to a team. Dallas Fuel, formerly known as Envious, did this to a team a couple times way back in the day where they wouldn't let them leave spawn on Dorado. Now, seems as though the tables have turned.
This is where you start to tilt off the face of the planet if you're Dallas Fuel. In fact, he is definitely a fiery character. He cannot be too pleased right now with how things are going. It seems like Philadelphia Fusion now, they will play nice. They will allow Dallas Fuel to push at least up to the arch. You know, let them get up to the arch, and then you can take another fight there. And it's looking like that's what's going to happen, although Carpe, he did get caught, forced to use his recall early. Now, however, Effect is going to be vulnerable to the shots, and Carpe had a chance, but he decides to play it safe and back off.
Well, he sees it was going to turn into a 2v1. If it was going to stay 1v1, I imagine Carpe would have tried to chase that down if Deflect was wearing off. Carpe is going to get into the mix here yet again. Almost finishes that. Misses the pulse bomb as well. Just within a razor's edge, but Dallas had to burn their Valkyrie because of all that pressure. Neptuno has his out as well.
Yeah, going for the style points there. Still, one thing that is important here is that he is alive to challenge that point. We will have the surrender, or the self-destruct rather. Engage, and Carpe eventually will find his kill. He gets rewarded. Of course, he's robbed. It's like taking candy from a baby. Chip Saiyan there with the res will take Mickey back into this fight. And they will continue as Taimu goes for this. Deadeye whips around. The shield is in the way. He eventually, doesn't get a kill because he gets it reflected back in his face.
Beautiful play there by Shadowburn. He uses Taimu's own arms against him. Quit hitting yourself. Hotba and Carpe will come in to clean it up. Philadelphia Fusion's defense looking rock solid here. 2 minutes left. Shadowburn, he hears it, goes down, and then even during the blade decides to shut down Taimu. Oh, dirty.
Blade on blade action, and in fact, he got the finish that he was looking for. At least he stomps. Well, he stomps. Why am I stumbling there? Shadowburn, obviously, from picking.
It doesn't matter. From Shadowburn's perspective, it doesn't matter. He did what he came to do. Both supports down thanks to Hotba right there. Goes boosts and gets a nice headshot onto Ariuk. This fight is over yet again. Dallas seems to be running on fumes.
Big play from Carpe. You're gonna try and charge me? Gets the D-Mech on Mickey, and they're definitely not gonna let Mickey die too early or too soon, although he does get the remech fairly quickly there. So back into the fight as Philadelphia once again occupying the high ground. They're definitely going to benefit. Shadowburn is there to chop Harry Hook. Doesn't like his music apparently. Taimu, in the meantime, is doing work with the help of Coco as well. And Philadelphia might be getting punished here at the finish line. This is not where you want to start losing fights.
Philadelphia getting punished at the starting line right now. However, they are going to have a blade up from Shadowburn. If he can get out of this alive, he needs to get that ledge dash. He's going to go get a giant pack. Still looking in the background. Taimu, nice cleanup there, will not allow that to happen.
Overextending might have costed Philadelphia here. They might have gotten a bit too greedy. Will they be able to get a challenge in time? Their tanks are running back as quickly as possible, and Carpe will be there to contest in the nick of time. It is overtime. Wick burning now. And Boombox not wasting any time with the Transcendence as well, getting that right back into the fight here to keep his teammates alive. Although, as I say, that Effect does get value in the end with the Doomfist.
Carpe was one bullet away before the self-destruct took him down. Chip's already softened up. Shadowburn's going to bring it all the way in. Neptuno is now back in this fight. We'll bring Fraggy into the mix as well, but it is Shadowburn who cuts apart the hopes and dreams of Dallas. However, in the meantime, they did get that point. The door does open. 2 minutes on the clock. 2 minutes more of Dallas attempting to push. It's not looked great for them.
Oh, how fitting would it be, though, Hex, if Dallas, you know, that's the thing. They were so close. Philadelphia Fusion, they were there with the bucket of water ready to snuff them. And now Dallas have a chance to come roaring back into this match because maybe Philadelphia, they gave him every opportunity they needed here to push the point. Although Philly are looking pretty good here now. Shadowburn with the key kill on Chip Saiyan might end up hurting the Dallas Fuel.
Chips will have Valkyrie for his next fight, but what that does is it allows Neptuno to start charging up his own so that he can answer. But Neptuno finds himself in a small hallway, not where you want to fight his Mercy. If you've got wings, you do not want to be caged indoors. Finds himself on the wrong side of that. We'll be at 50% moving forward. Chips and Harry Hook, both nearing their ultimate support abilities.
Boombox will have Trance very soon as well, kind of keeping an eye on that. Although Neptuno, well, I mean, when you've got the likes of Fraggy and Hotbutt just absorbing damage, he can get that Valk very quickly. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, keep an eye on those support ults, as Carpe, well, he does manage to find Taimu. Yet another strong start to the fight here for Philadelphia Fusion. That forces Chip Saiyans' hand, forces him to use the res and the Valk very early on in the fight, and that should definitely favor Neptuno.
Taimu keep putting quarters in that machine. He's got life after life here thanks to Chips here. We'll see if this can actually land on something. A hard ult to land, but Neptuno finds himself on the wrong side of that Meteor Strike.
Caught out in the open, and that's a big deal. Now the Valk will be delayed further, and there's a big chance here for Dallas to make some serious progress on this point. Effect dashing left and right. Gets the punch, but he's not going to get the kill here on Hotbutt. There are too many bodies alive here for Philadelphia Fusion, and Fraggy continuing to create space. 30 seconds left on the clock now for Dallas Fuel to make the magic happen.
Very strange to see Neptuno die to that Meteor Strike. Meteor Strike is a great zoning ultimate. It's a great escape ultimate for Doomfist. You often use it to reposition, but it's kind of telegraphed. It's very difficult to actually get people in there, especially with all the mobility in this game and the support mobility. A little odd Neptuno wasn't able to get out of that. Neptuno will have Valkyrie for this next fight, though, so he's going to be able to bring some of his teammates back to life.
Shadowburn dancing on the edge.
No, Neptuno!
This might be big. Yes, Effect with the pick. The turning point definitely reached here as Shadowburn has the blade. He might have to commit it, or he might decide to hold on to it, and he's not going to get the chance because Coco's going to tase him to death. Nothing Genji can really do to deal with that either, and they continue to press forward. Dallas Fuel, no possible chance here for Philadelphia to contest, and they managed to tie it up 2-2. Philly, you were so close to finishing this series 4-0, but Dallas showing some true resolve here, hanging in the fight.
90 seconds away from finishing the map. Dallas Fuel needs to do so to wipe that 0 off the board. Don't like to see anyone get squadooshed here. Get that 1 on the board, be a nice motivating factor for them to push forward. Chips dies early. Carpe has been a hard carry on Tracer this game. He is doing so much work. Those supports have to be super frustrated right now.
You know who's frustrated is Effect. He just keeps getting chipped down no matter where he shows himself. He's looking for that one-punch combo. The one-punch man in full effect, and there it is! Neptuno, surprise! You caught in the corner, you got nowhere to go! And in fact, he's got the Meteor Strike ready to go as well. And sure enough, there it is, clearing out the squishies from the point, forcing them off and into the open. Fraggy is gone, Shadowburn follows.
If Doomfist had a dream board, it would be a picture of a Mercy in a closet just like that. There's nothing better than that. If you're Doomfist, you land up top, that's your prime target, able to nail that one down. The support economy is tied up, so a lot of this comes down to who can use it better. Chips, Harry Hook, Boombox, Neptuno. It's all gonna matter when they feel like throwing down on this next fight.
Now Chips is running right in. He's right on the edge. He will be able to dash in here, and they are going to be able to tap the point, Dallas Fuel. Overtime is on. They are no longer allowed to leave the side of that payload. If they do, it can be over. Keep an eye on that wick, because it can end in the blink of an eye. Neptuno caught playing bravely there in the hallways. Definitely not the place he wants to be, though, when there's an angry Effect hunting him down. And Effect, speaking of which, finds a kill on Shadowburn.
They continue to push here. They have to make sure that they keep presence on the card. The last thing you want to do is give it up. Taimu out of this fight. Now that is a long distance damage pressure. They will not have a resurrected. Boombox comes back out of spawn actually and is able to transcend, keep his team alive. Down goes Harry, down goes Chips. Effect will be the next to fall, and Philadelphia has held on to Dorado.
They were close to the full hold on the first point. They just decided to savor, you know, the win a little bit longer. X. You know, I just wanted to figure it out, you know, work out some kinks. And perhaps, you know, they are sadists and just wanted Dallas Fuel to suffer as much as possible. That's possible as well.
I don't think you should play with your food like that. That was a pretty one-sided affair overall. I will say I was entertained by how Dallas played, because say what you want about Doomfist being effective, non-effective, so fun to watch. It's
Absolutely.
one of the most fun heroes to watch. It's a guy who just punches stuff. If you can't get on board with that, I mean, we can't be friends.
It's as easy as that. And don't worry, Hex, you can say that. It is fine. You don't need to be friends with everybody. That's what the internet tells you real early on. So, Dallas Fuel, they continue to struggle to find the W's, but perhaps today was one of those days where they were just trying to figure things out. Philadelphia Fusion, though, this is real important. It's a key win for them, keeping them in the running for the playoffs at the end of this first season.
Not only getting to 5 wins, but we said that map score might really matter a lot early on, and to get a 4-0 is exactly what they needed because a lot of their wins are 3-2 wins, 3-1s here and there. So they really needed a dominant performance after getting 0-4'd, especially in their last match.
No one.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Philadelphia is on fire right now. After losing 0-4 to the Valiant yesterday, they came back swinging and just shut down the Dallas Fuel. Welcome back. This is our post-game coverage. I'm Chris Puckett, and I'm joined once again. We got Crumbs and Reinforce on the desk. Let's talk about our third map. Going into Ilios, we thought, all right, if Dallas is going to turn this around, if we're going to see Game 5, they need to get it going here. Both times, they get to 99%, while Philly's still in the 50s. And I have to ask, guys, did Dallas throw these games away, or did Philly clutch up and steal it away from them?
I think Philadelphia clutched it because this was a heartbreaking match for Dallas Fuel. I mean, they were right there. They should have won Ilios, in my fair opinion. But Taimu got picked is 99%, one too many times. The support ultimates, they didn't get the value necessary. And I think overall, I think that it's just a shame that Dallas Fuel didn't win this map because we would have had such an amazing series. They could have won Dorado as well. I think it was so close. And I mean, looking at the performance, it was 4-0 for Philadelphia Fusion. But Dallas Fuel, I mean, they really gave a hell of a performance this game.
Well, I think the map just became a little bit closer based off of the way that Control plays out. It seemed like the games just evolved into a matter of who can kill Zenyatta more, and we actually got to see Coco and Effect diving up against Boombox, and both Boombox and Harry Hook ended up just giving up more kills than we'd seen previously in Anubis and Numbani, or rather the previous map, Eichenwald. So when that happens, the composition that Philly's running with the Zenyatta that's so reliant on healing your Pharah and your Genji and your Tracer from far away, then the DPS suffers. So I think that's where Dallas really found their way of making this map competitive, but it just wasn't enough.
Johnny, I have to ask, going into the final fight for Dallas, right? We see double support ultimates, but Philly charges them with their support ultimates of their own. Can you kind of break down that final fight that we saw in the second round?
Well, the Philadelphia Fusion, they realize that Dallas has double support ultimate, right? So they want to force out the Valk early, and they do it. But that gives a huge momentum swing for Dallas Fuel, I would say, because Harry Hook, he pops the Transcendence, and they turn the fight, and they push Philadelphia back. But they just don't get the picks necessary, because I think that was a fight that really favored Dallas Fuel, because, I mean, Philadelphia, they dive in with the Winston Leap, with the Genji Dash, etc. And that's where Dallas Fuel, they can pop the Transcendence. They can't essentially die in the Transcendence, because there's so much healing output. And that's when they should counter-dive in one sense and get those picks on the Philadelphia Fusion. They didn't get it this time, but I think with just another pick in Dallas Fuel favor, they would have won that fight and get the round.
I think you go back and watch those games, it was just a few kills that decided the game in favor of Philadelphia Fusion. Let's now take it to our fourth map, and this one, the series is already over. Philly has matched up the series, but they're still playing for that game count. As we get into the playoffs a little bit later in the season, every game matters, and it just looked like Dallas was going to somehow steal this away. At the very end, Philadelphia shut it down.
It kind of looked like it, but it really just started as a bit of hubris out of the Philadelphia Fusion, because they got to the point where they're practically spawn camping the Dallas Fuel because of how successful their first point hold was. Not just their hold, but their offense. On that first push from Philly, Carpe actually averaged, by the time they finished the point, about 75% accuracy on the Widowmaker on like 5 eliminations, which is a crazy amount of percent hit, which means that they just concede the point. But overall, I think that this was just the Philadelphia Fusion almost checking out, understanding that we have so much time in the bank already. We're going to be able to pull this off.
Johnny, what did you learn watching Dorado?
Watching Dorado, I think that while Effect was on the Doomfist a lot of the time, I think we saw some notices about the old Envious lineup. I think that there was some magic in that game, because Dallas Fuel, they captured the first point on overtime, they got the second point on overtime as well, and then it got to the final fight on the third point. It could have gone their way as well. So both these maps, Ilios and Dorado, I think there was some envious magic in there. And I think looking at stage 2, these guys are playoff contenders. I think that the performance they gave today, even though it was 4-0, I think these guys should be classified similarly to LA Valiant as Philadelphia Fusion, even though they went down 4-0, because it was so close. And I think they would beat Gladiators, Florida Mayhem, San Francisco Shock on any other day.
So you think that this Dallas Fuel squad that is now 1-6 will eventually be a playoff team?
Yeah, stage 2. Stage 2, I think they are a playoff contender. Yeah.
All right, well, we have 40 games before the official playoffs at the end of the season. Each stage has its own playoffs, so don't get lost in the discussion. But it's time to close out this post-game report with our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's the man who stopped Dallas Fuel on both maps 3 and 4. Shadowburn, though, caught fire, all starting back on game number 1, Eichenwald. He kept it going all 4 games. How do you stay this consistent? And when you look at his kills, guys, 50% of the time, in fact 55% of the time, he's killing supports.
But it's not just the time that he's killing supports, it's actually the time that he's holding ultimate. We love to talk about how patient is Shadowburn, and you can look at the statistic and think it's either patience or just not using his ultimate, but he holds it about 27% of the time, which is far and above the league average by about 5%, and that does mean that he's not using that ultimate a little bit less than anybody else, but you also have a lot of value coming out of these plays by him, which is also assisted by Neptuno, because we need to give him a special shout out for the Mercy proactiveness in assisting Shadowburn.
Absolutely. If we could, we'd name 2 players in our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. For now, it just goes to Shadowburn. Real quick to close this one out. You're going home, you know the Fusion is done for the week. You're going to watch all 8 of their VODs. How do you learn from this match against the Dallas Fuel in particular and try and protect your supports? Because Shadowburn was on them all match long.
Well, we didn't see so much Junkrat or Rodog, right, that we saw from Dallas Fuel last week when they actually shut down Dive pretty well. I mean, went to 5 maps versus Boston Uprising, of course. So I think they have the ability to actually shut down the dives. And And I think that a lot of the other teams, they start to understand. You look at Seoul, how they shut down Boston, of course, with Wiki on the Junkrat. So people know how to shut down the Dive thus far. And I think that Philadelphia yesterday, when they went down 4-0 versus the Valiant, they're starting to crumble a little bit now.
But I do think that their supports were their own worst enemies, because a lot of these plays end up being mistakes, and then they're trying to just help each other out to dig each other out of these mistakes, as opposed to just letting the play go. Somebody gets caught out of position, and especially like Dorado Point 2, Coco gets cut out. They're forced to blow Valkyrie, res him, he dies again, res him again, he dies one more time, and instead of taking the fight at the very last point of point 2, they just chose to do it all at once for nothing.
All right, so some mistakes from Dallas that they need to fix, but I think Philadelphia Fusion, they're definitely our Jekyll or Hyde squad. That is from Chanman on Twitter. I see you, buddy. Today, it was all Hyde in the Fusion, get the big 4-0. Coming up next, though, we take it to match number 2. New York XL beat Seoul last week. They're trying to go up to 6-1, but they got to get through the Dragons first. We'll see you with that match in just a few.